Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentle thems, welcome season 14 of Style Esports. My name is Llama. Casting alongside me today is All Out Potato for a best of three match tonight between HSG Amethyst and Phoenix Dawn. Champ Select has started. Potato and I are ready. It's time for some League of Legends.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see the return of HSG tonight. Last time we saw them on stream, they absolutely demolished their opponents. There are a few small roster changes down the bot lane, so we'll see whether the team can still keep their cohesion and domination from last time. But I'm very excited to see what they're going to pull out.
Yeah, there was pure domination on the Rift against Cosmic Paradox last time. As you mentioned, some roster adjustments, but also some season adjustments at this point into now that we're into the season. Season 13 of League of Legends, solo queue has started. The season is rocking, and Maokai, one of those champions who's been dominating across the charts in multiple positions so far early on the season.
Yeah, absolutely. You love to see it coming in as a jungle pick. And the blind pick Rise in response here. That's a champion that hasn't really been around too much in a while, but I'm very interested to see how it's going to perform tonight.
Yeah, and the reason why has been those Seraph Embrace changes. Now Rise loves having that mana, the mana crystal, having the tier, but now upgrading that into new Seraphs provides a shield as well. That's just kind of catapulted Rise into way more prevalence here. And Viego's a jungler. I mean, again, one of those champions that used to be incredibly strong, kind of fell off a little bit here, provides a lot of agency in the jungle. And Pike and Ash is going to be the bot lane blind pick for Amethyst. So lots of changes to this squad. This is a new bot lane from Amethyst now, so we'll have to see how HSG pilots in this new bot lane.
Yeah, and not the most common bot lane of picks either that I've seen as well. Pyke definitely a very aggressive champion, top tier roamer, can make a lot of things happen around the map. Ashe is a champion that I think is an interesting pick here because I feel like it hasn't been strong in quite a while, just kind of lacking damage and safety compared to a lot of other ADCs that are great in the meta. But, I'm definitely happen to be proven wrong tonight, and we'll see if they're able to bring on a good performance.
Absolutely. And the Varus is a champion, to match into that kind of uncommon bot lane that does well, at least into that Ashe pick. Varus known as a long range kind of poke champion, but also is really like the attack speed build, able to duel against some of these frontliners that HSG has drafted so far in that Maokai, as well as that Chain of Corruption. That is a lot of lockdown that you can get if you can get that to bounce to your teammates. So we'll have to see how that bot lane pairing goes. And HSG Amethyst, without too much hesitation, really targeting Phoenix down support pool here. Tony Poe taking a lot of that pressure down in the bot lane. We'll have to go a little bit deeper into his champ pool in this first match.
Yeah, and I do very much like the Lulu and Renata bands. They're great pairings with this Varus here. And I do like Varus as well. He just seems like such a flexible champion currently. You have three viable builds. You can go the attack speed, you can go the lethality with Comet build, and you can also go AP build to burst tanks, which have been really quite
Yeah.
prevalent after the Jack show just kind of started taking over League of Legends for a while there. Strong lane bully, scales well into the game, all around very flexible, so I like that. And Braum is going to be the pairing, a nice warden to protect against a lot of the aggression and lockdown that's going to be coming from Ashe, Pyke, and Maokai.
Yeah, and some pretty amazing that unbreakable wall, if used properly for the Ash arrow, then Chain of Crystal arrow, as well as the Nature's Grasp. Maokai's ultimate, pretty linear, can be stopped by Braum Shield. Yeah, he still gets rooted by it, but if you're standing behind Braum, that is a great champion to be standing behind here. And lots of auto attackers so far with both Viego and Varus. Viego gets that double auto attack quickly, so great pairings for Braum, and HSG Amethyst have responded quickly here.
Yeah, the Gragas and Yone coming out. Now, Gragas is a pick I believe we did see last time used with great effectiveness by the HSG squad. Yone, I think, is a new one potentially, but certainly a terrifying champion when it gets going.
It is, and Gragas we saw flex in a couple of roles. Maokai can as well. In this kind of composition, I do expect to see the Gragas top with Maokai jungle. Cassante the choice for Phoenix down, having Temtem pulling out the Cassante top lane. Expected that to go to the Gragas here. And we'll have to see if that is going to be jungle pairings because both Fnatic Mike and Toby Larone both showed success on victories playing that Gragas champion the last time these teams matched up.
Yeah, and looking at both these drafts here, I think it should be pretty exciting. Both teams are fairly short range, so in order to get any kind of fight going, they're gonna have to be up in each other's faces, brawling it out. So it should make some great action once we get on the Rift.
Yeah, there is a lot of melee champions on both sides, and this is an HSG Amethyst classic. HSG likes to brawl, likes to fight, getting each other's faces here, and Phoenix Down is down for that. Take a look, the Cassante, the Braum, the Viego, short range on Rise as well. These champions are going to be in each other's faces and duking it out here on the Rift.
Yeah, absolutely. And, on the side of both of these teams, I'm seeing very strong lockdown potential on HMG Amethyst, a lot of area denial and control of the battlefield with things like the Maokai ulti, the explosive cask, and Yone just flying in from every angle. On the other hand, Phoenix now, if they are able to stand their ground successfully, absorb the damage with Brahma Cassante, Rise, and Varus, these are champions that excel at punishing people when they are in range. While they don't have the greatest mobility, if they're in hitting distance of you, you can expect a lot of pain to come their way. So hopefully both teams will showcase a bit of the strengths of each roster.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens here. I think, as you mentioned, both of these teams have quite a few strengths. One of the champions I'm going to be looking at these team fights is going to be see how Pyke plays this. Smiley King joining this HSG roster and pulling out an aggressive Pyke pick. We'll have to see how that fares on the Rift. Can you play the team fights, get some of those death from belows, and pick up some of those cuts for the team? Because that amount of gold on resets, if Pyke can be razor sharp with that precision, can absolutely insert so much gold into this game, but they have to play the fight so patiently and not get locked down because it's a squishy champion. If you buy health, it's not going to be converted into any health at all. That's just giving you more AD. So Pyke's one of those champions you got to play so carefully in coordinated 5v5 team play. We'll have to see if Smiley King can pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the amount of potential lockdown that Phoenix Down can address in response, it can be difficult to navigate this properly. I'm also potentially going to be looking at whether he's able to find roam angles, because Ashe usually not the most self-sufficient 1v2 laner here, especially into Varus Braum. That's really scary if you're going to be let alone. So will Pyke find times to go around the map and influence it like he would like to do, or will Phoenix Down be able to keep these bot lane duo contained? I mean, they have pretty big shoes to fill after what we saw from last week's matchup. So here's hoping they're up to the task.
Yeah, we will have to see just on the short break here. We're going to a 3-minute spectator delay, but the prediction is live. So if you're hanging out with us in chat today, place your votes right now on who's going to win game number 1 between HSG Amethyst and Phoenix Down. And on the other side here of a short spectator delay, we're going to be jumping on the Rift to find out for ourselves. So stay where you're at, and we'll catch you on the Rift in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for getting those channel points in. We got some big numbers coming in. 3,000 channel points in this game, and the players are under the rift. No 5 point to start off this one. All of HSG Amethyst lurking around in the top side, trying to run into one of these players from Phoenix Dawn, and so far, no dice.
Yeah, both teams having potent level 1s here. Pike Hook on one side, Braum passive on the other. But PD Heist did forget to buy items, so did have to make a quick trip back to base, making the Braum invade a no-go here. Temtem potentially getting caught out here is going to be slightly an enemy territory. We'll see, will the hook land? No, does manage to dodge it, but the rest of the members are starting to catch up here. The Braum Q is going to dissuade them. Both teams going to stay safe and not get anything on the level 1 outside of a bit of deep vision for
Yeah,
HSG.
sometimes getting a little bit of vision there through the top side does help these junglers pathing around the map. This Maokai is so strong in preseason. I've been spamming a little bit of it myself here. It does really well when it can set up plays ahead of time because you want to get the saplings for the brush control around objectives. But in the early game, Maokai just happy to farm and clear the wave here. We'll have to see if Heist is going to be able to make any aggressive moves on this Maokai. But this is one tanky tree that loves to just run around the game here early on, get the levels, maybe go full into that, kind of AP build, even double AP. But Mike looking for a bot side play level 2.
Yeah, already coming through. The hook is going to land on Tony Poe, and the Maokai route there is going to guarantee first blood for Blackout. Quick and easy, just a small detour down to bot lane. One camp into a gank. That's not something you see very often. Some creative pathing there.
No, and I don't think it's something that PD Heist sees either on this game because Phoenix Dawn, their jungler Heist here, went bot to actually try to respond to that play there. But instead of just pathing to the top side and trying to get maybe some early aggression onto Mike's jungle, is tries to match in the play, and now they're behind on the sequence. So you're catching out everyone in that game, and it results in that first blood to Blackout 28 here on that Ashe.
Yeah, and Ashe definitely going to want that lead. I was originally coming into this game a little bit worried about how the Ashe would do, especially into champions like Braum and Cassante. It seemed like it can be rather difficult to get through those champs. I was even thinking about potentially whether it might be better for them to run a mandate build or something similar so that you can have the range advantage to a very short range enemy team. But, if you pick up enough kills here, them deciding to go the attack speed build, it could certainly end up working out well. And we already see Pyke going for a bit of a quick roam timer early on as well.
Yeah, Pike seems to be moving mid, and maybe something on to Ronagogo here on this rise. Blur happy to just farm aggressively here, and this is a melee versus ranged matchup, so you do expect to see Blur getting pushed in, but he's playing the aggression. Can Smiley King? A little bit of a hook? Will not, but this gives Tony Poe and Case in the bot lane enough of a green light to go ahead and go in and at least trade aggressively there on the Blackout.
Yeah, once the vision was established, once Pyke showed, it gives Varus Braum the ability to do however they want, and Ashe definitely has to respect that. It's going to be very dangerous for Ashe to survive should any of those abilities land. But Pyke is now going to return back down, Smiley King here to help his ADC once again, Wave is pushing to them, everyone's happy.
Yeah, a little bit of a cue there from Tony Poe, showing that they can land the abilities too. But without those auto attacks, no stun going to come through. PD Heist now in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Blur having just used Q3, there's the point and click route from Rise, a strong part of the Champions kit, but it is going to be flashes traded from Blur and PD Heist there. No kill to come out, but the reset is forced.
Yeah, it looks like Heist with a little bit too aggression, thinking they could get the auto attacks that they needed here. Heist not having the damage, though, in that play to make the kill come through. They could have taken the free flash and re-ganked it easily, but now Viego, without having their own flash, is going to make the mid lane a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, that Flash W, a very, very potent tool for Viego to make the ganks work. So that is going to be a match timer down. Now Tony Poe is going to try and find some aggression too, but Blur is just going to queue out easily, no harm done.
Yeah, now with some first resets coming through, a little bit of aggression from the jungle. Mike opting on that first back to go for a blasting wand. It's the back blasting. So great on them to pick up some of this early damage. And, Mike, these saplings are going to start to hurt once they get some more levels in it. And these ganks are too. Let's see if they can make something happen with that early index into some damage here in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. The demonic embrace, which I believe is a pretty common start on the Maokai, certainly going to make those saplings hurt, as well as making those ganks a little more potent. And here's another pike hook, just doing a bit more trading in the bot lane. We do see Fnatic Mike as well hovering around this mid bot area, seeing if there's going to be a chance to find a gank, but doesn't look like it so far. And overall, a very, very even game in this early game. We do see PD Heist with a slight farm lead on camps, based on a little bit less time spent trying to make it to lanes to gank, but otherwise it's all even. But here we go. We see Fnatic Mike going to start an early dragon here outside potentially of the vision of the Scuttle Crab, and there's no response so far from the side of Phoenix now, so it could just be a free early objective pickup.
Yeah, not only that, but also outside of the rotation path of Heist here. Really great play to be able to get this timer for Mike in the bot lane. Picking up this early dragon just gives that soul stack just that much earlier, only 90 seconds after it spawned. Is going to be secured now from Mike. And Great Cloud Dragon, the second one going to be hitting the Rift is going to be an Infernal. So between that, I mean, an Ocean Dragon, a Mountain Dragon, both would be awesome for the side of HSG. Third choice, even a Chemtech. I think all three of these soul options could have some major impact later on into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a bit of risky play. I mean, we saw that Fnatic Mike drop down to probably around like 15%, 20% at most HP there. So had any members of Phoenix Down showed up, it would have spelled very bad news for the tree. But is able to get away with the sneak successfully, is going to reset, pick up a few more components here, and be on their way to another clear. And now we see with the bot lane resetting, Pyke is taking this opportunity to move onto the top lane, going to try and help Toblerone find a pick on Temtem. And the wave is good. We'll see when they decide to make their move.
Yeah, but here it goes, and now Smiley King wants something but misses the hook. Is down 2 levels.
Yeah, the hook is going to miss. Kasante doing an excellent buffer there, but the unstoppable, as well as the damage trading back onto Smiley King, probably is going to have to reset before making it back to the lane. We see PD Heist also making their way across, potentially trying to cover the play here.
Yeah, and I think this is getting to the point where Smiley King is overstayed. Look at that.
Yeah,
Force out.
getting
PD
to
Heist might look
now
for it.
pretty far, but PD Heist does have the Heartbreaker as well, is not going to quite go for it. Thought that might have been an opportunity there. The wave is not there for Phoenix now, so no dive option available. PD Heist likely going to just go for the Rift Herald as a compensation trade.
Yeah, and ultimately that play, this is like a mid-gold elo, and I think that's showing just a little bit in that kind of play. Smiley King gets the tier 2s and wants to play, but take a look at Toby Larone. Right before that back, all they had was just a Sapphire Crystal. There was no damage, there was no health. They were sitting on so much gold. That teleport back gave them like 1700, and now Blackout forced to cleanse bot side. No ultimate from Braum means no follow-up. Smiley King staying up here, but lost the Herald. Smiley King, you're letting your bot laner die here, bot side.
Yeah, and there is the Flash W from PD Heist, but is not going to live. There's the Heartbreaker finally trying to find the finish, but the CC comes through. It is going to be Smiley King living until Rona Gogo comes in with the Realm Warp, but he is going to be taken down 1v3 by the members of HSG. A big brawl around the Herald. Ash surviving. You take that if you're HSG, but
It's
the
2
Herald
for
does
1.
go over.
Yeah, 2 for 1, but they did lose the Herald ultimately on the back end of that play, and so great recovery and picking up the extra kill. Yeah, Smiley King ultimately, after staying top for a couple minutes, does get a couple of assists for their efforts here, but I think that topside timer was really poorly timed. You could have let Toby Larone just back and then play it. They want to go bot side now.
Yeah, there's the counter arrow is going to force out the other cleanse here, the hook onto Tony Poe, but unlikely to find enough damage to finish on either side, so both ADCs forcing their ultimates out on the other side to get the cleanses. We'll see whether on the next round of ultimates if they're going to be able to take advantage of the cleanse cooldown and force a takedown.
Yeah, absolutely right. We'll have to see if those cleanse impacts have any kind of impact on this next Dragon Timer too. That's where I expect these teams to want to be fighting for. Temtem just going into Toby Larone in the top side. This is a comfort champion, and Toby Larone looks anything but here in this first game, getting absolutely mangled in this top lane here by Temtem, really showing that, yeah, he might be comfort on the champion, but down 17 farm, did pick up a couple of assists in the play, but, is at the point now that they're still behind about 500 gold early game here at 10 minutes.
Yeah, Cassante absolutely just giving Gragas a big smackdown. But here's Pike going to hook onto Tony Po, and we
Ooh!
have the Yone roaming down too, but an excellent counterplay from Kaisi is going to find it. Yone with the R buffer is also going to look for the finish onto Varus, so some great plays on both sides. We see Smiling King going for another hook, but Braum is going to be sturdy enough to make that live. Meanwhile,
Larone?
Totally Larone
Oh!
sitting in the bush with the clean combo, going to turn it back around on Tim, who's had his number all laning phase, and that is a big kill for him, getting him right back into the game.
I think Toby Larone might have heard me talking a little bit of smack there in the top lane and absolutely smacked down Temtem. Here comes Nature's Grasp into the mid lane. Mike wants it.
Yeah, a huge Maokai ulti here. Surely that's going to be PD Heist going down, and yes, it is. Ronagogo going to get away with his life, but an excellent rotation from HSG, something we've seen as a strong point from this team in the past series, and they're setting up for the dragon in 10 seconds. This could be a free second dragon going over.
This absolutely might be. And as you mentioned, this is HSG and what they do best. They move around the map as 5 and use their ultimate cooldown timers so successfully. Felt like, again, the team just shows up and it felt like there was no way for Phoenix Dawn to respond. Heist dropped the Herald for the gold, but that was about it. Now, like you just mentioned, this is the second dragon without a contest claimed, and the rift going to be, or the soul going to be hitting is going to be a hex tech. We didn't talk about that one at all, but lots of options. Now on the bot side, Smiley King might be looking for even more.
Yeah, PD Heist getting hooked in again, but we see the HSG members potentially getting a little bit stuck here. Ronagogo also going to Realm Warp in to try and help the fight, but it looks like everyone is going to be able to disengage. Blue buff is looking to be taken by Phoenix Down. Smiley King still looking to get a little bit frisky, but ends up deciding to back off.
Yeah, and those are the cooldown timers for their ultimates that were not back up yet. Smiley King wanted to keep moving in, but they did not have the Yone ultimate or the Maokai ultimate to make that happen. Bot
No,
side.
they did not, and now the CC chain going on to Smiley King, and it's probably going to be found onto Ashe as well. The Flash forced to be taken out. Kaisi and Tony Po flexing their strength in that bot lane matchup.
Yeah, and again, that was a timer that Smiley King doesn't really understand these right timers to be fighting, also sitting on so much gold there. And now maybe Mike can recover the bot side. Here comes the Nature's Grasp. They can get the 2 for 1.
They could, but Blackout is so low, and they do have a Braum to help out as well, and that is going to be the arrow finding the trade back onto Blackout there. Good heads-up play, but it is a trade found.
Yeah, gratefully the return kill makes that overall play 2 for 2 with everyone in the bot lane falling down in that exchange. Smiley King early and followed by Blackout being too low, having no summoner spells. But Mike around the map is making moves here, has their first completed item with the Demonic Embrace, sitting on 400 gold shutdown, 4 of his team's 8 kills in Mike's pocket now. This is a Maokai who's making plays across the map and really taking over, showing what the tree can do.
Yeah, certainly has been very impactful so far, finding great plays to pick up the dragon and pick up kills all around the map as well. And now we do see, however, Varus is finishing up the shield bow, and that can be very good in this bot lane matchup. In this Ashe Pike lane where they're so bursty, that shield bow can certainly be the difference between winning and losing. So we'll see if that ends up making a difference in their next engagement. But both supports currently out of lane, roaming around the map. The Ashe arrow is going to barely miss. A nice sidestep by KC with the cleanse down currently. That's going to matter, but KC is going to find the counter ultimate out, is going to chunk Blackout very, very low, just about 1.5 autos away from dying here. Braum could easily look for the dive should they wish to do so. Ashe now on 1 HP is going to be forced to leave, but it looks like the dive is not going to come through. They're instead just going to pick up this wave here.
The top side might be looking for a little bit of response. Mike is on the Herald, but Heist is here as well. Smiley King looking low, goes down.
Yeah, PD Heist just absolutely one-shotting Smiley King there, but there is Fnatic Mike and Toby Larone just absolutely dunking on PD Heist. The health bar disappearing there, the double flash to finish out onto Tim. Ronagogo also forced to flash away from Blur, who is desperately chasing him down, just barely missing out on the kill there from the bonus damage from Yone. However, on the opposite side of the map, trading back with their bot advantage, that is Casey and Tony Po picking up the first tower of the game.
showing how much experience these players have playing with each other. Toby Larone, Mike, and Blur on that top side, even after Smiley King fell, took that matter into their own hands. The double flash committed from Mike and Toby Larone, they were on the same wavelength, that same idea, and got the kills for it. Really showing the mastery of this top side playing together, led off the back of Mike's success here in this early game.
Yeah, and that is the power of numbers as well. They had the 3v2, even though Smiley King went down. The side of Phoenix now had to expend resources in order to make that happen. PD Heist was out of escapes, made it easy pickings for Fnatic Mike and Toby Larone with their lockdown and burst to just one-shot them. Now Smiley King potentially looking for something here in the mid lane, but Tony Poe is going to ward off any attempts here, and we have the third dragon spawning in 40 seconds. This is going to be a big point of contest. We see a lot of items coming through on both sides. Small difference here in the ADC role, where one side has a finished mythic and an extra component as well, and the other side doesn't have the mythic yet. And
one team doesn't even have an ADC.
Yeah, Blackout going to immediately go down, forced to flash away, but Tony Poe also getting caught out here. Kaisi going to try and bail him out, but there is the Yone OT. Blur going to find some damage onto Kaisi here. Tim has now joined the fight, but the Maokai ult is going to find it. Kaisi absolutely obliterated by the CC chain, but it's not over yet. PD Heist arrives just in time, and a flash Q3 from Tim is going to find the follow onto Smiley King. Toby Larone and Fnatic Mike trying to run away, but the stolen possessed Pyke is going to get the hook. Tim finds the shutdown onto Toby Larone. So much damage onto Fnatic Mike. That is PD Heist picking up another kill. A huge mid-game team fight win from the side of Phoenix down. That's going to be the tower and the dragon as well.
An amazing play off the back end for Phoenix Dawn. It felt like they got the pick early, and I thought HSG was going to be able to collapse, but just getting beat at their own game. HSG Amethyst was out team fought in that game. Their players dropped so early. As we mentioned, Blackout was dead before the fight even started. The soul sweep is denied. That first Hextech Dragon on the Rift claimed from Phoenix Dawn, and now they're in a 2,000 gold lead. We have to see how HSG can start to fight this mid game from behind.
Yeah, and that mid-game fight was the PD Heist show, finding the pick onto Ashe, using the flash to pick it up as well. And for a moment, it did look kind of dicey for Phoenix Down. We had Tony Poe getting picked off, Kaisi in an attempt to help their teammate, also getting picked off by the collapsing members of HSG, but Viego arriving just in the nick of time, finding finish after finish after finish with the possessed bodies of the HSG members, turning it into that crucial team fight victory.
Yeah, and VA was opted for that aggression build, thinking that they can make it happen, and so now we'll have to see how Heist can turn this mid game. Temtem might be in trouble.
He might be indeed. This is once again the strength of this HSG roster, consistently making these rotations. But Tim with a bit of fancy feet, managing to find the escape using the all out over the wall and the escape as well. And Blackout once again getting traded onto the mid lane. It's going to find another finish here, just getting bullied here, and that's the key.
Heist is here.
The Toby Larone getting very, very low, but an excellent explosive cast is going to alley-oop, set up for Smiley King, going to find the finish and the shutdown onto Viego. But meanwhile, mid lane, that's the whole tower falling down as well. No further defenders available. Blur going to finally arrive
Smiley King
time.
is wrapped around and has that ultimate still available. Tony Poe might be going down, gets the stun.
Is going to just get ulted directly, but it does not matter because the rest of the members are finding the finishing power. They're expending the flash, but not flashing far enough to avoid the finishing damage from Blur.
Yeah, Blackout has been left on an island. Feels like maybe they've blacked out a little bit here in this game. 4 deaths for that marksman now on Ashe. Has not been having any support from the team at all. Just trying to farm waves and has been doing okay at that, but down 40 CS to Casey on this Varus pick. And it feels like I mean, they're not playing around this marksman at all. It's definitely around the top side of HSG Amethyst, but the kills are going their way, but the objectives are not. Now it is 3 towers to 0 claim from HSG Amethyst, a dragon in their control, but 2 for HSG. This Baron has hit the map now that we're 20 minutes into this game. Second item's completed across the map, and now with these team fights becoming more explosive, items completed, it still could be anyone's game based on how they team fight here, and we know HSG can pull that out.
Yeah, Ash certainly suffering a little bit over the course of this first half of the game. And this was something I was a little bit worried about after champion select. Pyke, we know, is a champion that loves to roam, and Ash is not the sufficient 1v2 laner, especially into this kind of Varus Braum lockdown. So having to successfully give up waves and getting dove over and over, soloed out by the members, is now a significant deficit compared to their partners, 2k down against the Varus. But the rest of HSG certainly can still make up for it with their teamfight execution, and that Enchanted Crystal Arrow still a very, very potent tool. We now see Ronagogo trying to find that bottom inner tower, getting the push there, getting those waves in, as both teams just going to continue collecting some resources before readying for the next objective. Dragon is coming up in just over a minute, and that's where I expect we'll see the next fight.
Yeah, just posturing for vision topside. If they get a pick, there might be something. Smiley King lands the hook, but nothing else. Ultimate's back on the table for all 10 players. 1 minute is where we want to see that next fight happening. Mike took all those saplings around Baron to try to hold that space, and now the saplings are getting moved bot side. Toby Larone, I'm not liking this play from you there, buddy. You're using your ult or your teleport to get topside less than a minute before the objective. Temtem's got their teleport, meaning unless Toby Larone starts running after catching one wave, it will be an outnumbered fight. And as HSG, you need your numbers to make these fights happen here. So we'll have to see already Temtem just walking down bot side. HSG has to give this dragon because they don't have the players in position. With Toby Larone not having teleport, it's going to be a 4v5.
It is, unless he's going to simply walk down in time, and that seems to be what he attempts to do. But Ronagogo engaging a little bit on Smiley King, and that is also already the Nature's Grasp expended, a massive teamfight tool for the side of HSG. So
yeah, but they still want to fight it.
Turn the tide, and they do. The arrow of Chain of Corruption there is going to miss from Kaisi, not going to find Toby Larone, and a hook
There's
by
Heist.
Smiley King, and Heist going down already. Temtem trying to ult Blackout. Here's the problem, but the flash body slam from Toby Larone, tearing apart the team fight here. It's starting to look bad, but Kaisi is still free firing. Can they save this fight? Temtem getting very low, is going down. Kaisi now stuck, is going to find the finish onto Fnatic. Mike desperately trying to finish, gets Smiley King as well, but Blackout is going to survive there, and it's HSG taking the fight off of some highlight individual moments there.
Toby Larone might be a fat man, but those little legs got him to the fight in time, hitting the flash body slam, smacking down the players of Phoenix Dawn, and a great cleanup from Blackout. When your team is nearby, this Ashe can shine, and showing just that. After getting the pick on PD Heist, Heist fell, the fight was theirs. The Dragon now, soul point claimed for HSG Amethyst.
Yeah, and the crucial moments for me there were PD Heist getting picked off early on. This Viego build is one that does a lot of damage, but is certainly not very durable. Getting caught out that early, we saw how impactful the Viego could be in these team fights. Should he be allowed to get those resets? Should he stay alive until the latter parts of the fight where he is allowed to shine? But in that fight, it was not possible. And then Toby Larone finding that incredible flank, so that despite the heroics of Casey trying to finish that fight off on the backside, making sure that HSG find the victory.
You're right about Heist getting the reset. So with this build, though, Heist has been successful when they've picked up the bodies of other people. You get their items and their gold. It looks like Blackout might be caught here. Force Flash to trade, but here comes the teleport behind.
Yeah, and there's multiple flashes expended as Blackout once again getting picked off by the side of Phoenix Down. We'll see, do they want to transition this into anything else? Blur already preemptively starting to move back towards the mid lane in case there's a Baron threatened. Smiley King getting a little frisky, but is able to survive with the slipperiness of Pyke, and it looks like the members of Phoenix Down want to try this Baron here, but HSG are going to
HSG will
here.
fight it. You know they want to still continue. contest.
They are, and it is going to be a 5v4 here, still momentarily 13 seconds until Ashe is back up. No TP available to join, but
Watch
the
the arrow when
initiation
she
tool
spawns. She'll probably
looking
throw it
a
up
little
here.
bit low. Yeah, she might try to make the fight happen in that way, but here's Smiley King almost getting caught out, one hit away from the Braum passive proccing there, which almost certainly would have
Oh, the
spelled his
arrow.
death.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she's not even throwing the arrow from base. Now the fight's 4v5.
It is, but there's the Hex Gate to
There's the
start
arrow.
it out, and there's the arrow going on to PD Heist once again. The explosive cast dunking him out there. Blur ulting in, finding the fight onto Casey as well, and it is Blur getting traded back by Rona Gogo. Now Tim trying to use his heroics, but is going to barely miss out on finding the finish from Toby Larone. That is going to be a 4 for 2, and it is going to be HSG attempting to take this Baron here. It looks like Rona Gogo is just going to take the base and allow it to happen. But no, they are going to teleport back, and we see Fnatic Mike very low on mana. Blackout here, also a champion that can
gotta go.
one shot. Yes, and they must be fast because there's the teleport from Toby Larone. He is going to arrive in time to help his team. Rona Gogo with a excellent Zonia stopping for a moment, but surely he's not going to survive this. That is the Cerberus getting popped, but these two members just too much for him. Fnatic Mike going to get the grasp punch in his face, taking down Rona Gogo in a fairly large shutdown as well. It is going to be the Baron saved though, so overall, Phoenix Down still get a little bit more breathing room after that fight.
Yeah, but you're given a shutdown. You're given 600 gold additional to Maokai. Yeah, by killing the Baron, you're giving the team 1,500, so it does at least stop that. Rona Gogo will be alive for the Dragon Spawn in 90 seconds, and that is a fight Phoenix Dawn has to take at this point. So now it's just going to be about controlling the lanes in the mid and the bot side, getting your vision moved, for Mike, getting the saplings to control that space. And I believe in this next fight, whichever team is able to set up the fight successfully will win it. And my eyes gotta be on PD Heist here. Heist has been getting caught early on in all of these fights. With that build, they need to find the key targets here. Blackout and Blur on the side. It sounds like one of those crazy college nights because, you know, these are the players that are going to be taking the carry into their own hands. And if Heist can find them, it could be a heist for him. But we'll have to see, can this Viego survive more than 10 seconds? Because if Heist goes down again, I think HSG can win this fight.
Yeah, and it's been such a difference maker in these fights where he repeatedly gets picked off. Not able to use the strengths of the champion to turn the fight. Now looking onto Smiley King, but Smiley King is going to get out pretty easily. We see the teleport coming out early from Blur, so not going to look for the flank TP with the TP ward into PD's jungle. Smiley King trying to find another hook is not going to find it. This is HSG taking up space in the river initially. It's where they want to be. Yeah, Fnatic Mike able to deny the approach very effectively with the Nature's Wrath should he decide to do so. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow going out early, but is only going to find the Braum.
This is such a bad angle from Phoenix Dawn, though. This is not the angle you want to be on.
Yes, and Tim getting pulled in immediately, but is going to immediately take Fnatic Mike over, almost going down right away. Blur is going to find the pick onto PD Heist once more, and there are the rest of the members of HSG piling in. But look at Casey, he's going to try and make it happen. Flash away from Blur, is still firing. Toby Larone on 1 HP. Now it's all down to Rona Gogo. Is he going to be able to find 3 targets? How does he select it? Blackout going down. Toby Larone on 1 HP. Tim going to try and chase. Smiley King forced to back away as well. A very, very tense fight, but it looks like both sides are going to live, and it looks like it's a Rona Gogo going to attempt to start up the dragon. Toby Larone is going to decide not to take the base here, is going to stay around, regen up a little bit from his passive, going to look for the one shot, but the teleport coming in already from Tim, who surely is going to be able to zone this Gragas away. The rest of the members will likely not arrive in time. I want to see Tim make sure it denies. Oh my goodness. Okay, I would have liked to see a little bit more zoning there, but hey, it worked out. Rona Gogo by the skin of his teeth going to pick up that crucial dragon deny soul point, but man, was that unnecessarily risky, I imagine.
That entire fight felt unnecessarily risky early on. It felt like Phoenix Dawn did not have a great position, but Rona Gogo went crazy in that fight. An absolute amazing job throwing out those overloads, getting the fluxes down, doing such an amazing job just throwing all the spells into the team. And as the dust settled, Rona Gogo paired with Temtem teleporting back to that fight, we're able to secure that dragon. It's close now, and all the movement now to the top side. But Ronagogo's got the teleport available. 30 minutes now into this game. 5 dragons been claimed here. Both teams just looking to team fight, and now Ronagogo showing the power of this Rise as an early on priority pick in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. In this kind of environment, Rise can thrive, where all the enemy champions are right within firing range. He's now becoming both a team fight menace and a side lane menace here. But Blur is sent to match him, another highlight of HSG's team here.
Yeah,
And
this
really
1v1
right
is
now,
Ronagogo's 100% of the time bot side if he wants it.
oh, yes, it is. Yeah, and I'm looking here on these team fights. It is Casey and Ronagogo
Oh,
keeping
Blur
Phoenix
does.
down alive. Blur already wants to go in, and that is so much damage from the Yone, but significant chunks traded back as well by the Rise. And here is PD Heist trying to find the pick, but once again getting locked down, almost exploded. That is the trade kill from Smiling King going to find it there, and that is Toblerone, the explosive cast, not quite going to find the pick that he wants, but PD Heist just engaging directly into 3 members with an all damage build. That's
Yeah, that's not
not
that's
quite
not how
what
you
we
play
want to see.
Viego.
Baron on the map as well. This could be very, very punishing.
Yeah, that's that jungler dead. Temtem is here, and I think Gogo might be able to stop it if the teleport comes through. 4 members now already onto it. Temtem might be looking for something, but Ronagogo not committing the teleport. They gotta try to stop this Baron somehow.
Yeah,
He
the
just he
one
doesn't want to
saving
commit.
grace is this teleport advantage. Temtem finding the unstoppable here. Here is the teleport that is going to likely
Ooh.
trade the tower for free given to Blur, but it does dissuade the Baron, so that TP getting its value, saving the Baron from being taken after the mistake from Heist.
Yeah, and Blackout 28, even after not the great early game is starting to come online, has opted for a very similar build. Looks like Blackout is saying, Casey, whatever you buy, I'm going to buy too here. Matched item for item across the board with that attack speed build. So they're not going to be getting that same level of cooldown potential from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but we saw what they can do to Heist with that full damage build that Viego has chosen to go this game. I mean, if Blackout's not getting hit, they're shredding through the team here. So if some of those melee boys might be dropping pretty quick here, and so we'll have to see if Blackout 28 now, if they can stay with the team, will be able to find the damage in the fights.
Yeah, this is the full single target damage Ash build coming out here. Not the teamfight utility you might get with Hurricane, not the map-wide utility you might get with the CDR build, but just saying if I'm going to see a target, I am going to hit you until you die. And Ash is a champion that needs space in order to thrive in these teamfights, and with the amount of
Ooh,
lockdown,
teleport to the Baron.
with the plays that Toby Larone and Fnatic Mike have been giving him, it's maybe going to make it happen. But yes, teleport coming in. They're going to try and
They don't have
save the
time.
Baron here. It is about 10k HP. Phoenix now are checking very carefully. It is now down
Wait,
to
Mike's not even in the
6K,
pit.
5k, 3k, 2k. Are they going to make it? No, they are not. It's going to be picked up by the Blur, but there's the fight. Blur ulting onto Casey. Is they going to find the pick? No, they are going to find the damage onto Blur. Smiley also going down. And here is the rest of HSG, but Blackout there on the back is free firing a flash from Tony Po, and Tim is going to be able to run them down, and this is looking like a clean wipe from the side of Phoenix down. An excellent fight by them. Baron taken down, but unable to be used. And man, this is a close game.
It absolutely is. The Baron claimed as the dust settles from HSG Amethyst, but all 5 members lose it. And all of a sudden, that was a fight that they wanted. Blur teleported in. They stuck the Baron. They got the objective, but then immediately got wiped in the fight. Blackout, even with those items, could not do enough. This third dragon now, this looks like this should be an easy claim from Phoenix Dawn. Their third Hex Tech dragon in a row. That is 27% attack speed. And if you're Varus, you're loving seeing that.
Yeah, and the ability haste on top of that as well. Certainly going to be a great boon for PD members, and is going to put a lot of pressure on HSG as well. This so point going to be so important for both teams, especially with how close these team fights have been going. A few of these soul procs can be the difference maker in either a fight or a pick scenario. We saw there on Baron, where once again it was a game of inches. Blur trying to find the last bit of damage onto Casey, but enough clutch CC coming through as along with the arrow burst was able to take him down. And on the other side, Tony Poe absolutely having Blackout's number there, finding the flash engage onto
Yeah.
Ash to lock him down so that Tim could find the finish there. So some excellent execution by the members of Phoenix Down to make sure that it was the clean ace that we saw.
Yeah, and that execution as well. Heist is that member who started to pick it up after 8 deaths. Finally, we're seeing a little bit of defensive ability getting picked up now with a chain vest and a stopwatch complete in their inventory. Hopefully, Heist does not just get one shot because you said it, it's a game of inches, and it could also be based on where these skill shots land. Chanted Crystal Arrow, this pike hook as well. If these go wide, this could be challenging. Casey needs to be on par with those piercing arrows too. So I mean, all of these abilities need to be landing to get the damage down, and it's these key members in these fights. So much damage can be laying into them. I mean, anyone can be the carry, anyone can throw the game now, and as it being nearly 36 minutes now in this first game, one fight spells disaster. 4 towers taken, 4 PD, and on the other side, HSG with only 3 themselves. But the game could end nearly immediately with a complete ace now, with how long these death timers are getting.
Yeah, it really could, and these carries are getting very threatening. 4.5 items on Ronagogo, nearing full build here. On the other side, Blur on this Yone, also hitting just over 4 items, and we see the amounts of absolute devastation these champions can be putting out. Casey here performing fairly well all game, also getting close to finishing that final item before being full build. So these team fights, I'm going to be watching these carries. How well can they position their characters? How well can they utilize their toolkits to maximize damage? And how well can these supporting pieces keep their side alive while
Yeah.
finding those crucial picks onto the enemy?
Yeah, you're absolutely. And how long can these fights go too? I think will be interesting here. You mentioned Blur's build. That's double lifesteal.
It
So
is.
these fights can go really extended, but then like you also have this lifesteal on someone like Viego who can get so much health from taking down members. You got a Varus who has sustain built in. Like these teams have ways to play through the fight, so it's not over until someone gets aced. I feel like because these fights can keep going, and we've seen how extended they can be.
Oh, absolutely. And even in that side lane trade earlier, even though Ronagogo and Blur both finding themselves on crucial HP, Yone just walks up to the next mini wave and all of a sudden he's going to be full again. So it's certainly going to be a big boon in these fights. And yes, I'm looking at PD Heist also. A crucial well-timed stopwatch here can certainly be the difference maker at this kind of game length, with these kinds of builds. If he's able to find those crucial possessions, it can be game winning. And now here's Blur looking to aggress once more onto Ronagogo. And there is the flash forced out from Ronagogo as
Wow,
well as
that's a
expending the
massive
Seraphs.
cooldown.
It is Yone. This is one of those champions that scales to the moon. We see already how much damage and
Oh,
threat they are
Heist
putting
might be
onto this
caught.
full damage rise. But yes, Heist
Nope.
trying to get away from this Nature's Grasp, but it is simply going to be dropped as the members of HSG just walk away from that one. A big teamfight tool expended. That is 1 minute before the dragon, although actually the cooldown is so short now, just 48 seconds on the ultimate, so it is going to be
Okay.
available again for the fight.
Jeez. Yeah, these cooldowns are getting shorter as champions are hitting level 16 as well and higher. I mean, yeah, but that flash, hey, that's a little 5 minute cooldown potato. Doesn't matter what time of game you're at. Rona Gogo to big disadvantage. We have to see how Rona Gogo can position with the team. Phoenix Dawn's got to get a better position. They can't just be fighting over the wall like they did in the last fight. So lots of control here. Look at this sapling death bush going on. Mike might be looking for a play, just has the grasp now.
Yeah, the first engage is going
Ooh,
on
the
to Oniko,
backline!
but Blur finds the damage on the backline, but the CZ lockdown once again going to force him to snap back. Excellent Zonius from Ronagogo going to make sure he survives. Fnatic might force the flash out as well. Temtem trying to find it onto Blackout. PD Heist is going to instantly get popped. Temtem does find the final damage onto Blackout. He's going to find Mike as well. No, one final hit away from doing so. Ronagogo going back to base, but does have the teleport available. It is going to be a 3v4. more should they attempt to do so. That is the teleport
Rona
going
Gogo's
to be
here.
coming back as well. Fnatic Mike desperately low. Rona Gogo getting caught out by Blur again. That is probably him going down. The Pike stun comes through. Flash from Tony Poe, but is unable to save him. Casey completely zoned out of the fight. That's going to be Tony Poe going down as well. 50-second death timers on 2 members, 20 and 30 seconds on the other ones. Is this going to be the game ender? I mean, that is so figured
Looking
out
like the Baron,
for
at least.
HSG. Yeah, it looks like they're going to head directly to Baron instead, and that should be a very free objective. If we don't get Guma UC'd by Casey here, that's going to be a very, very intimidating push.
Yeah, Casey was channeling his inner Guma there at the Dragon, but does not get the soul. No blue ward available to try to steal this here. It'd have to be blind, but they're just picking up the wave. The soul is claimed. The Baron is claimed. HSG now, after picking up those 2 objectives, there should be looking for the win here. And Temtem almost 1v5 that fight. If I'm on Temtem's team, Temtem's probably being like, hey, dude, where's my team? Like, I'm 1v4 this whole time. But Rona Gogo was so low, was forced to back. Casey as well. They just did not have any way to play into that backline there. Temtem was almost the hero and went all out for sure, but the team did not have enough to be able to get the kills, get the objectives, and now they gotta play so carefully here with this Baron still on HSG.
Yeah, and I'd like to believe that Expended Flash may have been a big difference maker there for Rona Gogo. I maybe even would have liked to see him stay a little bit longer given the nature of how close that fight ended up being. But yes, Temtem absolutely pulling out some heroics on the backline in a 1v3, perhaps 1v4 situation even there on the Cassante, finding the damage onto the carry. Such a terrifying champion in these circumstances.
Yeah, and these champions only get more terrifying coupled with their builds. 4, 5, and 6 items now completed across the board. Blur's got that Guardian Angel popped, but they're sitting in full build. Likewise, Rise incredibly close to finishing their build. Casey has theirs completed on Varus. These champions are as strong as they're going to get. Levels are getting maxed out too. At this point, the gold difference starts to matter less and less. 41 minutes in this first game, Potato. I mean, still anyone's game.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be a 7,000 gold lead on paper, but right now it is going to be the map control, the execution, the way these people are using their abilities that are going to decide the game. All the requisite items are there. Both teams have the tools they need to win these team fights, but it is going to be down to who does it better. Blur once again going on to Rona Gogo is going to have the ult Zonia'd away, so not going to find the finish there, but the rest of HSG is going to find that mid lane tower as well. Now on to the mid lane inhibitor, is getting low, is going to take down, get popped. Will they rotate top lane? It seems to be the way they're looking. Temtem, they're trying to hold. The rest of the team feeling their way along, trying to move along as well. PD Heist not quite going to get caught out by the Blur. It's the final moments here, knocking on the doorsteps, trying to siege with what Baron they have left. It is just about 20% left, but here is PD Ice trying to find a flank on the backside, but is unable to do so, and now he's going to run straight into Fnatic Mike and the rest of their team. Is he going to slip away? It seems hard. Here is going to be the hook from Smiley King, going to find the pick here. PD Heist forced to flash away, ult away, but even so, it is not enough. Put into GA now. Now it is Rona Gogo trying to find the trade back onto Fnatic Mike. 2-man stun from Pike there. Fnatic Mike refusing to finish fighting
here. Look at the base. Look at the base.
Another. But yes, there is Yone and Toby Lerone also going hard onto the base. Casey now getting aggressed on by Blur. The stun comes out last minute, so that is going to mean that Casey is going to survive. But the Nexus tower goes down. 2 inhibitors go down. All of the towers, the inhib towers are going to go down. And that is going to be so much map pressure that Phoenix Down is going to have to deal with.
Yeah, but critically, Phoenix Dawn does not go down. You can call them Phoenix not down. Yes, their inhibitors are down. Yes, the Nexus Tower is as well. But Phoenix Dawn still showing signs of life here. Rebirth, perhaps, even at this point into this game. They have defended the final push. They have defended the Baron buff. And now they are looking to try to get the priority in these lanes. We will have to see with 90 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns onto the Rift. This will be the game deciding fight. We've been talking about it, Potato. we said any fight could be. I would place my money on this next fight being the game deciding fight for either team. But I mean, it's been a nail biter all the way through now. So many items completed, so much potential for both sides to absolutely demolish. But Blur has been the one making the plays happen. I expect them to be the one to try to make this last play happen at the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, but Phoenix have so much holding to do here with both inhibs now, and it's going to be waves crashing in relentlessly towards their base. If they are going to manage both the waves and the Elder Dragon here, would be an
Oh,
impressive feat. That is going to be the Realm Warp
yeah.
used by Ronagogo to
It's not
escape
up
the
for the
collapsing
soul now,
members.
or for the
No,
Elder.
it won't be. But we haven't seen it used much in terms of aggressively finding flanks in fights either. So it could be that it can
Yeah.
still go either way. But yes, I'm thinking this is probably
Oh,
the
what is
final
this
fight.
angle? PD does not want to approach from the jungle. Mike has so much control with those saplings. This is not the approach. You need to get priority through the mid wave. They
Yeah,
can't just
both
approach through this jungle.
Yeah, both of these bushes saplinged up already, and with a full build Maokai, these are going to be saplings that sting. It looks like they are going to try and push through the mid wave here. Tim going to be the first one to check, going to bait out these
He
first
just pulled
few
all the
saplings.
saplings.
PD Heist going to get hooked, but not quite over the wall, and here is Tim starting to
So
walk
linear.
forward.
But they
Blackout
gave Toby
not
Laron the
quite
flank
there.
here.
Yep,
Look, and
could
now
be.
Toby
Yes,
Laron's going to be able to
Toblerone is
pinch.
going. Yes, Braum is going to try and hold the side. This is a very, very tense situation. Being pinched in on both sides, there is a huge minion wave knocking down the top lane, but that is not what the teams are looking at. They are looking directly at this objective. All of
Calling
these
his
saplings
supers.
finding so much poke here. The unstoppable Tim going on to Smiley King,
But that's
trying
your
to
front
find him.
line.
Smiley King so slippery, and there is the engage from the side. Toby Larone and Blur, these two crucial members for the team who have done so much work, are going to find the fight. Smiley King dying before his ultimate can get out, so hold on a second. Are they going to turn this around? Ronagogo, 1 HP. The enchanted crystal arrow finding PD Heist there. Ronagogo going to teleport out, but there's the
Thanks.
teleport top lane. Blur is going to on to the tower here. How are the members of Phoenix going to get back on time?
Open
Here is the
Nexus.
response teleport from
Blur's
Ronagogo,
going
but he has
on.
1 HP. Immediately gets taken down, and now it is all down to Tim with 2 other members collapsing. Blur's DPS here likely too much. He can just look directly at the Nexus here, but no, he wants to pick up the kill as well. Tim is not going to get down. The Nexus tower not even enough to take down Blur. That's game 1 going over to the side of HSG Amethyst.
HSG Amethyst making that game fun for us, Potato. What a crazy 47-minute banger capped off on Blur's Yone, absolutely grabbing the back door, picking up that first win for them. And now all of a sudden, I mean, you got to reset and start back at 0 minutes.
Yeah, a very long and grueling game, I'm sure, for both teams. Both teams showing a lot of excellent individual moments there, but ultimately it was HSG who were able to edge out in a few of those crucial end-game fights and find the victory there. But this is looking like it's going to be a very, very competitive series. I'm hoping in game 2 both teams can come back strong and swinging once again.
It is going to be hopefully an amazing series. Phoenix Dawn putting up a heck of a fight, showing so many opportunities for them to be able to win. As we get set and settled for game number 2, we're just going to take a very short break. And in just a moment, we will be getting back onto the Rift for game number 2 between HSG Amethyst and Phoenix Dawn. All right, we have caught our breath and we hope that you have too because game two draft is underway. Already some shakeups in the bands coming in. They are not giving HSG Amethyst that first pick Maokai. Instead, they're going to be leaving the Darius on the table, likely for Toby Larone. But instead, HSG Amethyst opting for the Varus pick. That was something that Phoenix Down had kept. But neither team wanting to switch sides here. So looks like Phoenix Down is still happy to have that red fifth pick here.
Yeah, seems like it. And I do like these draft adjustments. I think Maokai here was absolutely an essential tool on the side of HSG Amethyst, just absolutely creating excellent opportunities across the map in the early game and in the team fights later on. Varus, I love this much more as a blind pick compared to the Ashe from the previous
The
game.
Ash Pike.
It, yeah, it just is just very flexible, can fulfill so many different roles, and Vayne actually is going to be the answer into the champion here. Should Vayne be able to get going, certainly can do a lot of work here, but
Oh my
I'm looking
gosh.
to see whether she's able to survive the laning phase into Varus, who has the range advantage, the burst advantage, and the control advantage early on.
Yeah, Vayne, like you're picking to scale. Like we saw what happened when Blackout was the one trying to scale and was left alone, and then just getting bullied by Varus hitting level 6 and then dying under towers. But this time, Vayne looking like it's going to be Casey maybe playing that supportive Vayne role. Diana looking to kind of be that primary engage, could be mid, could be jungle. HSG Amethyst, they saw that Darius is unlocked and they're scooping it up for themselves in this first half.
Yeah, and I do think Blind Darius here, it could be. It could potentially be punished a little bit,
Yeah.
especially I'm looking at the Vayne pick here, one of those champions that can kite Darius to infinity and also just tear through him in no time. But I do love the Lulu pickup from Smiling King here, both an excellent pairing with Varus, especially the on-hit variety, making it such a DPS menace while being very, very hard to take down, and also denying it away from the side of Phoenix Down. Vayne Lulu, one of those lanes that love to play together.
Yeah, and that Lulu, the Varus Lulu, yeah, like you're naming there too. It's also a different style, right? Like this is very different from the Pike we saw in game one. Not going to be roaming topside level 4. And honestly, I mean, not to hate on Smiley King, but I don't think those roams were the most successfully timed. So if you're staying in lane here on Lulu, I think that's totally fine. Buff up the Varus, give them what they need. Use the polymorph for this primary engage or on the Vayne, and I think that's going to be looking good. So that means Phoenix Down can target the mid pool here. We saw Blur have a pop-off performance on Yone. They'll be forced to something different in the second game.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love the Yone getting taken away here. Blur really having a highlight game in the last round, finding time and time again these crucial ultis onto the carries of Phoenix Down, making sure that Casey, who was a champion doing so much damage in these team fights, would have to fight for his life repeatedly at the very beginning of the fight. But now it is not available. We'll have to see what comes out next. And
Oh my
ooh, is
gosh,
this
look at
going
the
to be a
mobility Phoenix
call?
Down has drafted.
Yes, certainly, certainly. And, if they're able to dodge the chain of corruption here, this is a team that can really kite around the enemies, the side of Amethyst. Akali, one of those champions that can put on so much threat onto an immobile Varus and Lulu. And same story with Diana Bracan offering these long-range engage AoE options. But here we see potentially a Sylas coming out, one of those classic mid lane skill matchups should they both decide to go mid here. The Sylas Akali, one of those things where if one side gets an advantage, it can get really, really ugly for the opponent very fast.
It sure can. And now with the Silas locked in, again, it's a snowballing matchup. It's a skill-based matchup. Blur, I think, showed more of that skill in this first game here. But with that Silas picked up, that gives all of Phoenix Down's ultimates available. And what I'm seeing so far is not too many that I'm super stoked about. You get the quickness from Mercon. I think the perfect execution that Akali provides can be awesome. And otherwise, Diana's can be good if you can get the team clumped up as well as with Vayne. Going invisible on your Q is kind of neat, but probably not going to be the primary ultimate Silas is looking for. Solid matchup, and paired with Nocturne. I mean, HSG Amethyst, back to an all melee topside. They seem to really favor this here. And with this kind of pairing, the Nocturne jungle, I mean, Mike, that's a guy that likes to be playing aggressive. They like to be the showmaker, the styler here, as well as the carry for HSG. So not surprised to see that kind of playmaking jungle. And I mean, the comps rounded out. Phoenix on pick and Fiora.
Yeah, it is. And what it's looking like to me here is Amethyst's comp seem to be a little bit brawly. I mean, you have some pretty sustainy, heavy durability people from the Darius and the Silas. You're going to have the Shield Volvaris presumably coming out as well. And all of these champions are going to be boosted up by a Lulu. If Nocturne goes a slightly more bruisery build as well, it could potentially be hard for the side of Phoenix Down to play. I mean, we do have Vayne, who's very good and dishing out damage to any person that she's looking at, but she's not paired with a boosting enchanter that can really up that damage output. And Akali, Diana, these are champions that more want to get in your face, blow you up, and then get out of there. They're not too suited for the longer fights. And Fiora, more of a side lane presence sort of champion usually than a team fight threat. So we'll see if Phoenix Down is going to be able to execute these team fights well.
Yeah, but still high mobility and low CC is kind of the big takeaway I'm seeing for Phoenix Down. They got the way to move around the fight, but I mean, it's going to be hard if one of these players in HSG Amethyst gets too far ahead because the ways to shut them down is by killing them, right? You're not going to be CCing them for very long.
Yeah, my primary concern is it seems that the threshold of execution is higher for the members of Phoenix Down. And this is
I agree.
something that I think is very important at around this kind of play level. I mean, Darius, you get this champion, its resources, you get it ahead. That champ presses Ghost and presses his buttons in your general direction, and it's going to be successful. Press R on your head, pretty easy to do. Silas, you get this champion bruisery enough, he walks up to you, misses all his abilities, presses W and kills you anyway. Nocturne kind of right clicks on you, Varus kind of right clicks on you. Right,
Yep.
on the other side we see Rakan, Akali, Fiora. These are champions that kind of want to dance in and around these fights, create space, use opportunities with their timings on very specific abilities. If they're able to coordinate this successfully as a team, dodge some crucial abilities from HSG, or find the assassination onto the carries, this could go really well for them. I just think that it might be a little harder for them to do compared to the other team comp.
You're exactly right, and we got to remember the context here. Both of these teams just came off of a grueling 47-minute back and forth game here, and we know that like these are teams that want to fight and want to brawl out. So sometimes game two in a series like this, where it's a best of three and you gotta win, going back to comfort, playing something that you can kind of settle into, can actually be really, really successful. And I think Phoenix Down has drafted anything but that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm also interested to see how these teams are going to be executing their styles of champion as well. We do see a few mix up. We already talked about how Smiley King on the Lulu is going to fulfill a very, very different role from the Pike. No longer going to be that kind of playmaker roaming around the map, being very slippery in team fights. Is instead going to be looking to offer protection to their teammates. On the other side, we see Akali, also a very different stylistic champion than Rise. No longer going to be standing still, kiting around, being that kind of close range artillery mage, or a turret mage rather, but instead is going to look for these key assassinations, going to try and find those small windows where one member is isolated in a team fight to
Yeah.
finish them out.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You've heard our thoughts now. We want to hear yours. Prediction for game number two is live. Who's gonna win this second game? Will HSG Amethyst make it a 2-0 like HSG Pink did before them, or will Phoenix Down force us to a game number three? We are on just the short timer of a spectator delay. But as we get settled for game number two, you should as well. Get your channel points in, get those votes rocking, and in just a minute, we'll be hitting the Rift for game number two. We are on to the Rift for game number 2. My name is Llama, joined with AllOutPotato for season 14 of Style Esports. This matchup, HSG Amethyst versus Phoenix Down, coming off of an amazing 47-minute game in the last one. We'll have to see if this game can deliver. The players are set, and so are we.
Yeah, absolute banger. We just saw a lot of back and forth throughout the entirety of that game. Some excellent highlights from these individual players as well. I'm hoping for a great game too.
I'm looking forward to it too. And I mean, already some kind of adaptations, not only in champion picks, but also some summer spells here. Look at the bot lane in particular here. Casey and Tony, Blackout and Smiley King. We got a double exhaust ignite bot lane here. No one's opting for any kind of heal or barrier in this lane.
Yeah, very interesting to me. I was expecting perhaps something like a heal or even a ghost coming out from the vein into this sort of team fight, but no, it is going to be the double exhaust here. And as we start looking around these lane matchups, what are we hoping to see here?
I mean, I do expect to see that mid to be a skill-based matchup, and I want to see if Blur picking that counter pick in Nerona Gogo Zakali will be able to get the better of this lane. Must be a lane that they like here. Meanwhile, Temtem showed dominance game one. Toby Larone not known to be a great laner here, but showing up in team fights. I want to see Temtem taking advantage of the top lane.
Yeah, we see Toby Larone is certainly one of those key players for HSG, but Timtim absolutely doing their work too, and already engaged coming out to the side of Smiley King, so a bit of early action here. But yeah, I look at Silas Akali, I am immediately reminded of classics such as the Back to Lysandra from Jensen and that infamous Zeka Scout game for Worlds. This is such a volatile matchup, and should one of these champions get ahead, it can really start looking pretty rough.
It sure can, and I do expect the action to be around the top side here. Maybe Blackout and Smiley King will be able to get the pressure early on over Casey because Blackout's got that range advantage. Varus is a champion as their base range that is so much higher. I mean, look at that. Ignite already burned by Blur, level 2, trying to trade aggressively into Rona Gogo. Rona
Yeah,
Gogo's got the teleport, though.
right, is not going to find the finish there, and the Shroud is going to keep them safe early on. Some trading and all-ins actually, as Tim Tim and Toby Laurent going to start going at each other a little bit as well. But yeah, I do see the bot lane range advantage here, although they do have to respect the potential engage from Tony Po as well. And we see that's going to be a very, very early reset taken by the side of Blackout and Smiley King.
Yeah, a little bit of a cheater recall there, getting the wave shoved in, and that is one advantage of having the range matchup is you get to control the lane just a little bit more. With a reset though, and with the extra clear speed from Heist, is going to be the first one in the top lane here. Heist is going to get on Toblerone.
Yeah, and already burning the flash immediately. Is it going to be the Ghost 2 not going to be used? Oh, an excellent pull in from Toby Larone there. The last Q not quite going to finish. Give me a little taunt dance there as he
Yeah.
starts backing.
Apprehend used from Toby Larone saves their life in the top lane here. Looks like Blur and Mike able to make sure that play does not come to fruition. 0-0, Toby Larone forced to use the flash, but Temtem used theirs as well, so no flashes in the top lane. I want to see that be a point of jungle pressure now in these next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it is Fnatic Mike just being able to pick up the Scuttle Crab as well, getting this farm advantage, hurrying on towards his level 6.
Yeah, both these champions now looking toward the Herald or the Rift Scuttle. What was it? Scuttle Crab, not a Rift thing, you know. And Mike is getting the better here, picking up both of them. And now Heist got the first gank, but Mike's picking up the Heist, grabbing both of these first Scuttle rotations.
Yeah, and if you're Nocturne, you're definitely loving to see that as Blur once again trying to find it onto Ronagogo there, who is going to trade back a little bit as well. This mid lane matchup very, very close as the Shuriken flip barely is dodged out.
Yeah, and again, at this level, this matchup can go either way. What I'm noticing a lot, though, is Blur's mana. Rona Gogo is an energy champion. That Akali, if they just stay in lane, will get all of their energy back and ready to trade once again. But if Blur's not careful, they'll continue to go out of mana in the mid lane. So at this level, without having that level of mana control that higher elos can provide, it's going to be challenging. But Toby Lure on top side.
Yeah, Toby Larone ghosting is going to have full stacks there, is going to find the first blood onto Tim there, well executed by the Darius. And if you're Fiora, you don't want to see this Darius getting ahead very much further, or the lane is going to quickly become unplayable.
You're absolutely right there. And Fiora was that last pick. Temtem been getting these counter picks on R5 for themselves. Oh, Toby Larone backing on a ward. Doesn't have flash.
He does not, and PD Heist here is going to finish him off, is going to find the trade kill. Still an
Mike's mid.
advantage to Toblerone, finding the crash there, but yeah, there's Fnatic Mike. Rona
Oh,
Gogo hitting
level
6 off
6.
that mini wave already. Oh, but the Shuriken flip is going to miss. Blur finding the stun onto Rona Gogo. Just that crucial ability missing would have been the trade kill onto Blur. A game of inches here, as always, between these two teams.
What a massive flash from Blur going over top of that Shuriken flip from Akali there. An absolutely amazing play. I don't know if it was responsive or what, but absolutely great play to keep Blur's life alive. 1-1 now. Teleport back into the mid lane. And once again, just like the first game, right around the 6.5 minute mark, Mike is onto the dragon.
Yeah, some excellent awareness here, and despite Phoenix Down's bot lane having the priority here, and despite even the ward in the river, it looks like Fnatic Mike once again just going to get a free pickup.
And we saw the advantage that that had, and even though it took them how many dragons, like 7 dragons to claim the soul in the last game, after picking up the first couple, it felt like all of a sudden Phoenix Down was able to just claim a few in a row. So Phoenix Mike, or Phoenix Mike, hey, switching teams now. Fnatic Mike here picks up that first dragon once again in the second game.
Yeah, and considering that last game, both teams came down to soul point there, that very well
Oh,
could have
Heist
been
is
the
up a
difference
level
maker.
here.
But yeah, PD Heist already hitting level 6 early here, but forced the flash out from the fear from Nocturne. Blur and Rona Gogo both fighting each other, trying to make it so that they cannot reinforce their junglers. Both sides going to back off now, but Blur wants a little bit more, is going
Casey.
in towards Rona Gogo, but Casey is going to get engaged on 1v2, force the flash out as the Ignite is burned, while Tony Poe and PD Heist are trying to roam towards the mid lane, but are not able to find it. A little bit too far up there, but PD Heist wants this once
Oh,
again.
Smiley
Smiley
King might be
King is going
caught.
to be the target. The Q is going to miss. The ulti is not available, but Tony Poe does get the knockup. Smiley King now ignited, now forced to flash away. Are they going to chase him? Are going to be able to find the finish there? Guardian proc as Blackout also flashes away, going to save his own life there. Great pickup onto Lulu. Excellent movement down from the side of Phoenix Down.
Only Summoner Spell not using the bot lane there was Blackout's Exhaust. I don't know if that would have been enough to save Smiley King, but opts to hold on to it. That bot lane not level 6 yet, and Heist, even though they didn't have their ultimate, was still enough, but now Mike has his.
Yeah, Mike has hit level 6 there. The Q is going to miss, but it is going to be an easy finish. He's going to look for the second one on Tony Poe as well.
Oh!
Auto, flash, now flash, auto, follow. Nocturne Fnatic Mike here getting another early lead. What a key player for HSG he has been.
And Mike was known as a Rek'Sai player early on here this season, and now pulling out Nocturne, a very similar champion. Yeah, they had a great performance on the Maokai and showed how big of a monster that tree can be. But Mike gets the lead. They're on that AD. They know their damage. And again, I mean, a Heist is matching kill for kill, blow for blow now. And so, yeah, Mike's doing great, but got to give credit to Heist for also picking up some early kills in this early game.
Yeah, just an excellent timing there. Casey and Tony Poe staying a little bit too long while knowing that the junglers were just on the threshold of 6 there does get punished for that decision. But now it's Heist looking potentially up towards the Herald.
Yeah, and now being on that Herald, that is a great counter response with Mike showing bot. They're not going to be able to get up here in time. Mike also opted to clear through the wolves before taking this rotation, is completely unaware, and that Herald now claimed from Heist, a great trade back on the top side of the map.
Yeah, excellent. Both junglers finding their free objectives onto the map, and we'll see which one will end up having more impact here. I'm hoping to see the Herald dropped for a little extra gold income onto the Soul Laners, and already here, Akali having a significant CS advantage up onto the Sylas.
Yeah, there's that gold advantage you're just saying, Potato. Rona Gogo's got it just in the farm department, up about 300 gold just in the solo lane from picking up minions. I mean, that's a kill right there.
Yeah, and speaking of farm, we see also Casey right now on the farm advantage compared to Blackout, despite the range advantage that we discussed earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Casey used both Summoner spells early and Blackout still has the Exhaust. Having these level 6 coming in for bot side, Casey might be in a little bit more trouble if Blackout can find enough lethal damage. But you're right, I'm kind of surprised to see Casey out farming this Varus in the bot lane.
Yeah, Casey's certainly a standout player from that last game too, and I do think Vayne hitting level 6 here also is going to be at the point where she's going to have threat, but hold on, both top laners trading, okay, is not going to have too much consequence at the end there. But yeah, if Blackout was not careful, there are many bush plays available to Vayne where many a time I've walked up, she ults and just runs me straight down the lane.
Yeah, and that can be the worst feeling as an ADC. Blur trading aggressively, but I don't think it has the damage. Gogo wants it.
Yeah, Rona Gogo, were they not directly at tower, there surely would have ulted for the finish, but fortunately Blur does have that layer of protection as both mid laners take a base.
Toby Larone doing a great job keeping the pressure up on Temtem in the top lane. Toby Larone went a little bit down in farm and gold in that first game here, but now they're setting up a cheese on bot side.
Yeah, Tony Poe just face checking here is going to immediately get ulted by Blackout. Easy peasy kill there. Dragon in 25, it might just go over to HSG here.
Yeah, Tony Poe switched to Tony KO, just getting absolutely ran through in that second fight there. And now, as you said, the ults were used, a dragon is spawning, and just like clockwork, HSG is back on it right on spawn.
Yeah, and Toby Larone also putting the pressure on as PD High is trying to trade onto Smiley, but yeah, trading Ghost for the flash up there on the top lane, making sure that the Fiora stays away. But wait, PD Heist here with the big engage. Here's Casey on the flank too. Blackout is going to die. Smiley King taken down too, and this is going to be Fnatic Mike going down. An amazing engage from Phoenix Down, finding all those members. PD Heist and Tony Poe coming out huge for their team, getting that team fight win.
Blink and you'll miss it. Oh my goodness. Phoenix Down took matters in their own hands. Tony Poe got back in time and absolutely wiped that fight. What a great split-second decision from all of Phoenix Down to collapse perfectly. Casey was untouched and just able to free fire. They got the kills and they got that dragon here. Blur's not amused about that one and using the Ignite again to trade aggressively mid lane.
Yeah, and the 3 members down here, that's going to be the Herald drop in the bot lane tower, taking very, very low here. Certainly an excellent advantage off the back of that fight.
Yeah, really well done across the board. Rona Gogo sitting on a shutdown, as is Heist. Has one item completed for both of these junglers. Nashor's Tooth, and now on this reset, a Blasting Wand and Amplifying Tomb. Heist can start dishing out some damage in the jungle. Yeah, it's Hey Potato, it's another full damage build, but I like it just a little bit more on Diana, I think.
Yeah, most certainly. I think Diana a more suitable champion than the Viego to go that kind of build. And PD Heist with that last fight, making up for some of the sins of last game, setting up his team excellently for that team fight victory.
And Tony Poe was able to get the quickness down and do the damage as well. I mean, we said it hard execution, but we also said if they do it right, they could absolutely demolish, and that's what happened. Smiley King did not have enough way to play through the wild growth here, but now these ultimates coming back off cooldown. My next look is where this paranoia is going on Nocturne. Is Mike going to look to make a play on topside and try to get Toby Larone even further ahead, or instead using it on the bot lane here, try to lock down Casey? But Casey's got those summoner spells back up, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Maybe you just fight on to Rona Gogo, who keeps playing up in this mid lane.
Yeah, but Akali's so slippery as well. I do want to see this paranoia make an impact because that is such a make or break moment for Nocturne, especially these early ones. But once again, the 2 mid laners going at it, brawling relentlessly.
Phoenix gone.
Both sides going away. PD Heist offering a little bit of support as Blur is expending the flash there to try and live.
Wow, Blur thought maybe a trade was possible, but sniffed out the danger, saw Tony Poe coming up the mid lane. Mike held that paranoia here. Moving back to the top side, but there's nothing quite for them to grab quite yet. Still 40 seconds on the Rift Herald. But Blackout getting a little bit of pressure in the bot lane and taking no more plates now that they've fallen off here, but getting some more damage on the bot lane tower.
Yeah, and once again, a very, very even game. Just a small gold lead for the Akali in this mid lane. But here's Blackout getting charmed by Tony Poe. Once again, just like in game 1, caught in a 1v2 and punished for it. Great heads-up play from Tony Poe and the Phoenix Down bot lane.
Like you said, that is heads-up awareness. Smiley King, Roman top, setting up for the Herald, and Blackout 28 not respecting it. Does fall. Now Tony Poe first to the mid lane.
Yeah, Shuriken lands on Blur, but an excellent stun. But here is Tony Poe trying to find the engage. Blur stolen. Diana ulti is going to turn it around. Is he going to find it onto Tony Poe? So much damage coming out, but is not going to find the finish. Fnatic might
Polly.
here on PD Heist. PD Heist is looking to go down. A great knock-up from Rakan, but just a little too late. Not going to be able to save the teammate. A shutdown coming across, 2 kills, and probably the Herald going across as well.
Wow, that amount of crowd control, polymorph onto Heist into the fear from Mike. I mean, Heist still got that ultimate down, and we did see the Moonfall doing a little bit of damage, but it was ultimately Heist fall there. I mean, did not have enough way to fight it out, and Blur survives to tell another tale. And oh my god! Toby
Yeah,
Larone!
Tim dancing around there trying to find those vital procs onto Toby Larone, was able to get a few, but there is the Darius. Walk around and press your buttons in the direction of your enemies and you will succeed. Tim not able to proc any of the ultimate vitals before being directly executed.
Yeah, it was felt like a great Herald drop now topside as well after that. Temtem now with their second death. Toby Larone showing why the Darius should be banned as it was in game one. I mean, picking up that champion in the first half, picking it up blind no less, and now just absolutely destroying both these top lane towers only 16 and a half minutes in.
Yeah, an excellently impactful second Rift Herald here, getting the entirety of top inner. Usually these inner towers, quite a bit of effort to get taken down. Finding the charge as well onto the Nexus, but both teams positioning for Dragon here.
And we know that HSG loves to fight these dragons with members or not. Toby Larone, no teleport to join this time. And Blur looks like they're going to be there first. 5 members are not available from Temtem because Temtem's not there. Ronagogo wants
Worried
to.
about the 5v4, but Smiley King is going to get caught out off of some excellent play by Tony Poe and Rona Gogo, finding 2 kills on the bot side. But here are the reinforcements. Casey desperately kiting back against Blur is going to find the trade kill. Wow, well played from the Vayne there. And then the 4v5 going to be pretty even, but here's Toby Larone. He wants more, but no, Rakan is going to deny that. Temtem getting a lone time up in the top lane while the fight goes evenly here on the bot side. Oh, no, actually in the advantage of Phoenix down. So really, really great work by its members there.
Secured the dragon, secured the advantage in terms of kills, and Temtem some much needed alone time topside without a Darius throwing that axe down your throat. And look at that, you just got a pool noodle to fight back with here, Temtem. And now that Toby Larone is here, you gotta run until Tony Poe wants to make something happen.
Right, but no Darius ulti available, and the Fiora ulti is available, so that is going to be the shutdown going across, but tragically going to the ignite of Tony Poe. Temtem really would have loved that gold there.
Yeah, it looks like pool noodle greater than axe confirmed. Look at that. Toby Larone fallen here, getting smacked down from Temtem with the support of that Tony Poe roaming up top. What a great continuation from that play.
Certainly, a PD Heist now looking onto Smiley King once again, but Smiley King is going to live that. But yes, certainly a very crucial dragon fight there for Phoenix down. I was very worried about the 5v4 collapse coming in, but Ronagogo, Tony Poe taking that opportunity, finding Smiley King just a little too far off to the side, leading the team fight win.
And looking at this bot lane now, Blackout and Smiley King 2 and 6. This was a lane we wanted to see dominate with the range advantage. Oh, here it comes.
Domination, yeah, there is the CC lockdown onto Casey, but Casey is going to get out but the Lulu Wild Growth is going to make it so that Blur finds the finish.
Oh, double TP.
Ulti now, but yes, all the members are joining in except for Toby Larone, but here's the Go just going in and out. Smiley King taken down there. A flashy play from the Akali, but PD Heist stuck into the middle of the tower in the middle of 3 members as well. Blur wants the continuation, is not going to find the E2 there. An absolute brawl in the mid lane.
And ultimately at a disadvantage of Phoenix down. They lost an extra member there. After Casey had died, the rest of Phoenix down was down to throwdown, but it did not work out in their favor. Yeah, some fancy feet from Ronagogo moving around in that fight, but lost a member, traded one at least. But now this kill score all lined up here. Toby Larone already pressuring the inhibitor.
He is, and with that, Hull Breaker 2 is going to offer even more pressure. Tim trying to find some kind of compensation into the mid lane, even flashing onto Blackout there, but Blackout is just going to trade the flash, and no kill will be found.
Yeah, this feels like just a battle of the chocolate bars in the top side. Is that Tim Tam there in the top lane? Because Toby Larone is showing him the Alps, getting those mountains. This Darius looking huge.
And
Rona
Rona
Gogo not afraid to fight either.
Yeah, going onto Blur here, as Blur is going to get demolished. Rona Gogo, excellent patience there on the E2 from the Akali, waiting for the stolen Akali ult before going in for the finish here. As Casey is just going to start hitting
Whoa.
Blackout, but here's Fnatic Mike, but Blackout is going to go down. Tony Poe is there to help, but PD Heist is here. Moonfall gets everyone. Fnatic Mike is getting very low, and so is Smiley King. Casey is going to live with the Guardian and the Recon shields. Just a wonderful pickup there in the mid lane, but here's Toby Larone going on to Tim once again. Is Tim able to live this one? Full bleed stacks available, and that is the dunk, just obliterating him from the map once again, and that's an open inhibitor.
Oh man, Toby Larone proven to be the superior chocolate bar in this matchup here. Tim Tam has fallen again, just waiting patiently in the bush while he's watching the team just fall to pieces on the other side. Casey played that fight amazing, as did Rona Gogo. I mean, was just cruising around the fight. Blur had no chance in that 1v1. And look at the item difference now in the mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a story of the solo laners. Toby Larone on one side providing an insane amount of pressure in these team fights in the side lanes, as Darius Fiora just simply unable to match. Rona Gogo on the other side finding time and time again these picks on these crucial members, and I really have to laud all the members of Phoenix down here in that last fight. PD Heist coming in timely manner, Toby Poe finding those saves for his carries, but the dragon fight is getting ready to commence, and once again,
Tim doesn't have the teleport once again, like you were saying, used it already, and I mean, yeah, that means no contest even available here. In the last fight, PD were able to steal it away because they were not in position. HSG was not around to be able to make the fight even close. In this one, though, second dragon now. It's another Hextech, so it looks like this is just going to be the story of the game. And now 2 dragons apiece. This looks awfully similar to what we saw in Game 2, or Game 1.
Does, yeah, and we see throughout both of these series, it has consistently been HSG getting the initial positioning onto the dragon. I wonder if this might have been an intentional give up there to allow Tim some more time in the top lane, but the dragon is taken.
You're right that it does buy time for Tim top lane. Now the top lane at least has responded here. Tim opting to not have enough agency to shove the lane or hold a freeze. So you are kind of the awkward situation where you kind of need to push. You got the Tiamat completed, but Tim is still awfully behind here in the top lane. Over 2,000 gold just themselves at a disadvantage. But now Blackout might be caught.
Yeah, Tony Poe trying to find the engage onto Toby Larone, but Toby Larone is going to not care about that at all.
They're forcing.
Moonfall from Diana is going to take out Blackout. Once again, the Varus so immobile, easy pickings for the enemy team. They are picking the Baron here. I'm maybe a little bit nervous about that with the stolen Diana ulti, with the Nocturne ulti coming in.
With Toby Larone as ahead as he is?
Everyone's stacked in the pit, but they're calling for it. They want this to be finished. It looks like
there's no paranoia. They can't go in.
Yeah, so maybe just an excellent timing here. That's Baron going to be traded for 1, maybe 2 mid towers. Oh no, that is Rona Gogo caught in the mid lane, flashed out. There is no R2 coming in. Fnatic Mike actually is going to be traded by the tower, and here's
now
the
you lose.
Of the members of Phoenix down. They're going to try and chase onto Blur and Smiley King, but it looks like everyone is starting to scatter. Blur is surely going to get condemned into the wall here, is going to do so. That's him going down. 2 members of HSG are going to be down here. Baron on the map for Phoenix now. I'm hoping they get a good push out of this.
And look at the vision set up there in the top side by the Baron for Phoenix down. Absolutely mastery control of that area. All it took was 1 pick on the Blackout, and they got the Baron, the kills, and everything that they wanted. I mean, and that play looked so telegraphed, Potato. Like, I thought that, like, Blackout was going to be able to walk out of there, but they didn't have Flash. And this hyper mobile comp that Phoenix Down has drafted absolutely was just able to run at them. Like Heist forced the use Flash to force onto that play, and they still made it happen. Like I am so surprised how well this mobility composition is working out for Phoenix Down in the second match.
They really are executing very well. Flash from Diana, a threat from so long away. Flash from Tony Poe, on addition to his E, also able to engage from almost 2 screens away. And these picks have been absolutely crucial. I have to give my praises to PD Heist here, even though he didn't do so well in
Oh,
game one.
Caster
Making up
Curse.
for it. But yeah, there is the engage on Caster Curse indeed. Split pushing into the side lane by himself, punished by the Nocturne ultimate immediately giving up his life.
Oh, Mike heard you say, wait, did someone say PD Heist? And then immediately he died. Oh, that was such a great Caster Curse Potato. Great job.
Thank you, thank you. And Toby Leroux going to get another apprehend onto Tim in the top lane. Tim tried to find a way over the
Oh my
wall.
god.
Didn't able to do so,
Oh
but
my
Toby Leroux is
god.
going to flash. But no, Tim says, you can flash, I can flash better. Styles with the Hex Gate right out of there.
HSG now has numbers in the bot side. I don't think there's any way that Phoenix Down is going to get anything else bot. So, yep, they're just going to back off. They got the Baron, but losing Heist there was such a big loss for them. It means that that Baron, I mean, only alive for 30 more seconds, this buff around them. And they're losing across the map. This is likely a negative Baron power play if you're Phoenix Heist because they lost the kills. They're losing towers. Felt like
Yeah,
that Baron was, I mean, a great claim, but then misexecution when they had it.
yeah, just a small mistake there. Diana going down in the bot lane there, giving up so much pressure to the enemy team. But that is all done. Fiora is able to trade that top inner. Teleport is going to be available here. Dragon in 30 seconds.
And now this would be the third dragon for either team, and with the Baron no longer being worn, this playing field becomes even more even. Toby Larone does have so much gold invested into a hole breaker, then that is not a great team fight item. So they don't really want to be down here, but all of HSG Amethyst does have to play this fight. Couple items now completed from both sides. Blackout a little bit behind on this Varus instead of the Vayne now. And this fight could be really close here, and it's got to be down to Phoenix Down to get the execution.
Yeah, and Blur
Here it
wants
is.
here, but there's the counter engage. It is the Tony Poe show as all of the members get knocked up. The fear is going to go on Casey getting targeted, but all his friends there are going to support. Toby Larone in the middle of 5 people is just going to get cut down by the members of Phoenix Down, and that is a massive victory. They might try to push straight for the end here.
They might Phoenix or Fnatic Mike forced to run as well. Phoenix Down, pushing down the mid lane inhibitor at a minimum, an inhibitor, maybe more than that. But the Dragon's sitting alive as well. It looks like in the base they are going to be looking to push past the inhibitor now. We'll have to see if they can end the game right here.
Tim getting the better of Fnatic. Mike still 7 seconds on Smiley King. It is just Blackout and Smiley, two very immobile, very squishy champions here. They're on to the Nexus. They just want to finish. That was one team fight to turn around the game. Instant win there. Wow, great job by Phoenix Down.
Phoenix Down making this a series, Potato. They took down HSG Amethyst in the second game, and we are going to game number 3. What a great comeback after that first loss. I mean, we didn't trust the composition, but they executed on it.
They did execute indeed. I have to give my accolades to Tony Poe and PD Heist, finding successful engages time and time again. Just looking at these team fights before all the members of HSG could assemble together, finding places where there are 1 member, 2 member, 3 members, a little bit away from the support of their team, going in without hesitation, finding these long range engages, knocking them up, and Rona Gogo also getting such a big advantage against their lane opponent, Blur, who had such a great game last time.
Yeah, I mean, we were singing the praises of Blur and what amazing Yone that was. They got the counter pick matchup, and they got the Silas into a matchup that they wanted. They knew it was going to be an Akali, but I mean, not only was the execution good, I would call that Akali perfect execution because they dominated that matchup in the second game.
They really did in the mid lane and in the side lanes as well. So now It's for all the marbles. Game 3 coming up. Whichever team takes this takes the series, and what a competitive series it's been so far.
Yeah, give us just a moment to reset. I promise this will be a short break. And on the other end of it, it's game number 3, winner take all, HSG Amethyst first, Phoenix down. We will see you all in just a moment. We did not want to keep y'all waiting for any longer, Style Esports fans. It is game number 3, tied series 1-1. Not only that, but the sides have been swapped, but the scores remain even. 1-1 here. Similar bands going out into this game 3 here. You know, both teams not too worried about shaking it up here. They still leave the Darius open if Amethyst wants it.
They do, and HSG Amethyst taking red side this game, so we'll see what the B1 pick will be. Oh, it's the Mordekaiser coming
Ooh.
out for Phoenix now. Okay.
You know, that could be a jungle top flex. Um, I mean, on a B1, it's been interesting to see. We've seen different priorities all 3 of these games. First, the Maokai banned away game 2. Phoenix down with their first pick. They don't want it. So instead, they just pick that Mordekaiser first.
Yeah,
Ooh! Is
Pike
that Smiley
immediately.
King back on the bike?
It is. Smiley King said, enough of that, Lulu. I'm not protecting anyone anymore. I'm going to go back to being a team fight, roaming menace, and picking off your members.
And it didn't really matter, it didn't feel like, with Blackout, because it felt like Blackout in both these last games was kind of getting caught out and too far forward, and played 2 immobile characters too with Varus and Ash. Kaisa is anything but.
Yeah, and Kaisa Pike certainly a very potent lane here. Should Pike land a hook, which it seems like Smiley King really has been proficient at doing, the amount of burst coming out in this bot lane is very strong. But Xayah, of an old answer into Kaisa back when these were the 2 premier ADCs in the meta, does offer a range advantage, a lot of zoning potential in these fights with the feathers, and a lot of kite ability.
And do you know what it also provides?
A pairing with Rakan. Oh man, Tony Poe really just making an excellent show that last game. Just amazing execution in these team fights. I really was impressed by that performance, and I'm glad to see it back.
Yeah, likewise. That last team fight there was an absolute show. And I don't think after Tony Poe pulls out a performance like that, you're pairing it with anything but the Zaya. I mean, these are the Feathered Lovers. What's their actual name? I don't think it's the Feathered Lovers, but they're they're known for that pairing. They get some extra synergy there too, playing together. Let's now we have to see if they can match the Skinnergy in game as well.
We will indeed, and we see the mid lane bans now coming out,
Yeah.
targeting these two big carry players. Yone once again denied from Blur. Akali going to be denied for Ronagogo. Unsurprising, given the impact that champion had this past game.
And that does mean that HSG Amethyst has given up the Jax top lane. That was the ban that they pulled out instead of Akali. The Rise was still taken away. I mean, because we saw what Phoenix Down was able to do with that Rise. I mean, I know that we didn't see Ronagogo winning that Rise game, but they made those fights incredibly close. So Ronagogo, we're gonna see his third pick of the night tonight, as well as Blurs.
Yeah, we'll see if Ronagogo can execute just as well in this game 3 as he did in these games 1 and 2. And it's Syndra, a scaling pick menace that can absolutely burst out enemy champions. Orianna and Kaisa, Pyke, these are really fragile, not very durable champions, so I do really like this pick here.
Yeah, you're right about the fragility that all these characters offer. I mean, there's a wombo combo potential brewing here from HSG Amethyst. I'll be curious what Mike wants to partner with all of it, or if they take the Gragas. But I think something like a Hecarim, a Wukong, something like that. But Jax is open and Phoenix Down grabs that. I mean, that was again, that was a ban that was put on the bench in game number 2. And Phoenix Down said, oh, it's actually a great idea. We want that ourselves. And that also forces the Mordekaiser to go jungle.
Yeah, we'll see the small mid-scope adjustment here for the Jackson. We also have to see Toby Larone once again probably going back onto the Gragas. I mean, had an amazing game every time we've seen him on this champion, so certainly lots of comfort and playmaking there for him.
And I mean, if we're talking about classic Wombo combo, Oriana Jarvan the fourth, I mean, doesn't get more classic than that. That used to be a BBB classic back when our ball handler on the Rift antagonist would pull that out. And I mean, you basically just you throw that cataclysm down on immobile characters like the Syndra, like the Zaya, and they ain't going anywhere.
So very true. Between that combo, the explosive cask from Gragas, the hook from Pyke, it's going to be so many things for the side of Phoenix Down to try and keep track of. I do trust Casey will execute pretty well in this game, as he has been doing all night. But these two carries for Phoenix Down, they'll have to be really, really careful with how these fights play out.
And HSG Amethyst, you're right about the amount of tools they got, but they also have to be careful with their execution. Because there's worlds where Explosive Cask looks to lead the fight and completely whiffs the shockwave. These two ultimates basically do opposite things, right? Like, I mean, they're about as opposite as possible. One pushes them in, one pulls them out. I mean, it feels like if they're not using the right timing in the right way or on, something like that Zaya ultimate, that could be kind of bad news if HSG Amethyst missed these key teamfight ultimates.
It could be, but if there's one player I trust to execute on Gragas correctly, it is Toby Larone. Finding these cask picks time and time again really has had a lot of precision finding the carries and the knockbacks here. So I'm hoping to see that again in this third game.
Yeah, and the draft is locked in. It is a little bit strange to see Jarvan the fourth being that last pick. I like the synergy they picked with their R4, R5. But Gragas, I mean, in game number 1, they picked it also blind pick, and Phoenix Down matched with the Cassante. In this game with the Gragas blind pick, it was Jax counterpicked. I mean, Cassante bullied Gragas pretty hard. Toby Larone came back in that mid game. It does feel like Gragas could have some issues again in the lane, but you're right about that mid-game execution. Toby Larone had pinpoint precision with those casks.
Really does. And I do feel that Jax is a slightly less of a lane bully, but can still scale to be an absolute menace later on in the game. So we'll see whether that top lane matchup will be decided early or whether it'll come down to the split pressure and the team fighting of these two champions.
It is going to be very interesting to see. It's also the first time we've seen these teams swapped sides here. We knew from the blue side that HSG Amethyst loved those early dragons. We'll have to see if Fnatic Mike for the third game in a row looks for the dragon around the 6 minute mark. Otherwise, double control mage in the mid lane too. That's a little bit of a shakeup from what we've been seeing this series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I want to touch on too is Amethyst has pretty consistently reached the Dragon Pit first and gotten that setup. In this game, I think that's even more important with the ball zoning potential of the Orianna, with the pick potential of the Pyke. Getting that space established first is really helpful. On the other side, if Syndra Rakan are able to set up in the pit as well, it's going to be hard for Amethyst to approach as well. So we'll see if Phoenix Down will be a little bit more proactive about setting up early and getting to the objective in time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think these objectives are going to be very strange. There is still a world where, I mean, even if HSG does not get to the objective first, they have enough wombo, they got enough combo, they can still slay Phoenix down. But it is going to have to depend on if they scatter the weak lands. If Tony Poe is able to get these massive engages once again on the Rakan, because if you're trying to walk down the river and you get caught from some of this major CC, you're just absolutely done for.
That you are, and just like in game one, there are moments where one ability in a team fight makes all the difference. So we'll see which of these players can execute their best in this final crucial game.
Oh, this is for all of the marbles, and the prediction is live. It'll be for all of your channel points as well. Game number two, only 18% of those channel points were awarded to the correct choice there. And all of a sudden, Phoenix Down has made this a series, and they're going to try to get that reverse sweep onto HSG Amethyst. So while you're getting your channel points ready, we're going to get this match ready. Do not forget to vote for game number three. Who is going to win this series between Phoenix Down and HSG Amethyst? You'll have to see on the other side of a short break. It is game number 3, match point. You just got a couple of seconds left to get those channel points in, and we are on to the rift for HSG Amethyst versus Phoenix Down. It is winner take all right here for this series, and already HSG Amethyst taking that aggressive level 1.
That they are, but Rakan is the one watching the bush, is going to find a pretty easy escape. Fnatic and Mike just going to barely miss out on the sweeper, but no, okay, gets the ward kill there, and is able to place some vision of their own. So early invade not going to result into a kill, but both teams get a little bit of info.
Yeah, neither team is an amazing level 1 here, especially HSG Amethyst. But with that commitment, they got the vision, but immediately just swept out there. So, I mean, okay, like you sweep it out with Casey getting one of those ward kills. It's actually not going to mean an early level 2. If it was a solo lane, you actually get level 2 a minion early there, so that can make a big difference. In bot lane, sharing the XP with the support is not going to do it.
Yeah. And looking across at these Ruin Summoner choices, I'm seeing a few things that I find a little interesting. Ghost on Mordekaiser, which we have seen pretty frequently, but Ghost onto Casey's Xayah here as well, and the Airy on Tony Poe's Rakan.
Yeah, these are some different summoner spells from both bot laners compared to last game when they both decided to take the exhaust. As you mentioned, Casey taking Ghost here and the heal on Blackout, but Tony Poe has that airy, maybe looking to poke out Smiley King a little bit more in the bot lane here with some of those Q.
Fnatic Mike
Oh,
looking
Fnatic
for
Mike!
a repeat of that game 1 play, 1 camp into the gank. Rona Gogo forced to flash out there. PD Heist not quite making it in time, but does burn the Ghost.
Yeah, and Fnatic Mike, honestly, you kind of misplayed that a little bit, buddy, by using... Oh! I gotta hold that.
Flash stun from Smiley King. Well played, but Tony Poe is going to have enough survivability to live that one. Excellent play on the level 2 timing there from the bot lane. Another hook just barely going to miss as well. Smiley King already showing why his Pike was something to be feared from that first game.
Yeah, amazing play there. But yeah, that Fnatic Mike mid lane play, I think if you get that auto, you just walk up to Ronagogo and start smacking. Like, Syndra has no way to get out of there, has to use flash. If you start auto-attacking her, she is forced to flash. You're already behind her. But because he used the flag and drag combo to go through the Syndra back toward his own team, I mean, now it's sort of like you have no way to do any more damage there. So I think Fnatic Mike could have had first blood by playing that level 2 gank a little bit sooner, but he's back at level 3 and now he wants to get Ronagogo.
He is back, and Smiley King is back as well. Blackout taking the opportunity to get the reset, but an excellent shove is going to get the trade there. Fnatic Mike is going to get pulled, and PD Heist maybe taken down as well. The Pike stun is going to make sure that Mike stays alive. Really great roam play there, not sussed out by the bot lane of Phoenix Down. Means 2 kills going over to HSG.
Those early kills on the back of Fnatic Mike's early aggression. We've seen this guy game after game make the plays happen early game for HSG Amethyst, and game 3 is no exception. Smiley King's already back. Ronagogo might be going down again.
Yeah, we are punishing this lack of mobility from Ronagogo. Some great fancy feet dodges the stun from the Pike, but there's going to be enough damage coming out regardless. Syndra losing that flash early just has to respect these move timings a little more. You have a J4 and a Pike. These are 2 champions that are absolutely lethal in these early moves. PD Heist wants to trade against Toby Larone, but looks like he's probably going to be out, is already very far down the lane.
He's Ronagogo not having the game performance they did in game number 2. They used the teleport to get back to that lane, and immediately Smiley King was just sitting there in the bush, cheesing, waiting for him to show up. And man, 2 deaths now for Ronagogo. That is a much rougher early game, and I mean, I expect Fnatic Mike to just keep the pressure on in the mid lane.
It is. Fortunately, Orianna is taking more of a scaling build here, starting with the tier, so it's not going to immediately begin demolishing this lane here. But yes, with how much Smiley King was moving around the first game, we do want to see Ronagogo hopefully surviving a little bit longer, but Tim finding a great play onto Toby Larone, and the knock up from Tony Poe going to get flashed out by Blackout here.
Yeah, wow. Smiley King just keeps on landing these hooks. Hook after hook is landing bot lion. But hey, Temtem getting a solo kill on Toby Larone. We knew this guy's Gragas in lane wasn't the best, but shouldn't be dialing into solo kills.
Yeah, Jack's really finding a great timing here, but here comes PD Heist looking for Blackout. There is no flash here. Blackout does dodge the knockup, so that might be enough to keep him alive, but no, Casey is there for the finish. Fnatic Mike and Smiley King maybe want to continue this, but it is a 2v3. Will PD Heist go down? Does not get the shield up in time. The cooldown was not quite
EQ is up
available.
now too for Mike.
Yeah, so he might look for the continuation here, but is a little bit further
If it
away. Will
lands,
Smiley King get the hook? No, just barely misses. Casey has enough footwork there to dodge it.
wow, and I thought Fnatic Mike might have been looking for an extra one here. Blackout, I mean, I don't want to make too much of a blackout joke here, Potato, in terms of this gray screen. It feels like all series. But in this third game, once again, feels like just dying over aggression, not having flash, not having mobility, and not having any health. Takes another death here, and that's at least advantage. Blur under tower.
Blur gets stunned in the tower. Here's PD Heist ready to ghost in. Shockwave is available. Shockwave Flash is going to barely get Blur out. But here comes Fnatic Mike again in the bot lane, aggressing onto Casey. Their Blackout quite low though, but Fnatic Mike is ready to go. Tony Poe eats the Kaisa W. Really great awareness there, but the Q from Fnatic Mike is going to get the finish regardless. Smiley King is going to miss out there, but the last auto comes through for Blackout. Another 2 kills. Fnatic Mike, just like in game 1, making these advantages happen around the map.
And just like that, Fnatic Mike also getting another great repeat gank. Level 2 this game. Ganked Rona Gogo and then came back level 3. Just was able to get onto Casey and Tony Poe and once again came back. Like, not only is Fnatic Mike making the advantages, but really smart repeat ganks here in this third game. And it just feels like Phoenix Down is not at all expecting to see this jungler showing up twice back to back in their lane.
Yeah, they have not put out the vision, and they were not putting out the sufficient amount of respect for the movements. And I think this is where HSG shines. We've seen in both series the team movements and the map pressure from these ganks, finding advantages here. Smiley King back again, forcing another flash out from Rona Gogo, who is suffering from these repeated ganks. And here's Fnatic Mike back again in the bot lane, getting an absolute smackdown onto Tony Poe. Does have the Cataclysm available now as well, hitting level 6, and is going to get taken down here. Smiley King going to find Tony Poe. Toby Larone not going to get the explosive cast. Tim, wow, almost finding the kill again, and a massive HP disadvantage there. Toby Larone, 1 HP now. Both top laners, a one-shot for
Body
each
slam.
other. Neither one has flash, yeah.
I want to see if Toby Larone can body slam interrupt the Jack skew, because he can win it if that happens. But now in a crashing wave, Toby Larone is in danger and Heist is here.
Yeah, and I would have liked to see Heist just move a little bit faster, get the ward after maybe, but here's Toby Larone taken into Brazil. That is the slam takedown. Dragon traded on the other side, but Toby Larone is going to pay with his life.
Hardly a Heist on that kill there, just absolutely taking the free one. Smiley King missing another bone skewer, buddy. All right. Level 6 is coming in. Fnatic Mike looped around. The Cataclysm still available. Level 6 for Casey now. Tony Poe yet to hit it.
Yeah, and Blur also starting to move down. This is looking like a 4-man dive. It is on the cannon wave. A second wave is reinforcing here, so it could be an excellent window. We do see Blur deciding to go back mid lane here. Xayah is still flashless, but does have the ultimate available. Rakan, also just level 5 here, is going to get close to hitting level 6, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, Blackout just shoving the wave in, and they're still hovering around this area. Heist nowhere to be found because they are on the Rift Herald. Toby Larone sussing it out, but smited away. Heist picks up the Herald.
Yeah, that is going to be advantage to Phoenix down there. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggressive play around that wave. It looked like they had a great timing there, but Blackout was just going to take the base, and that's a lot of time invested by Fnatic Mike.
Once again, this elo of just finding those timers on gold spikes. Blackout likely had so much gold that they had to spend. The damage for the dive was not available, especially with Casey's ultimate available. But Casey didn't have flash, and you're right that should have been a timer that they should have set up a little bit better here. Get Blackout on a reset prior to that. Get them back into the lane when Smiley King is hitting level 6 and then has their death from below. But instead, the play was not there, even on the double stacked wave. Fnatic Mike looking to move down once again, but now if Casey is going to have flash shortly, if they can survive for 10 seconds, they'll have it. We'll have to see if they can make this 3v2 happen now.
Yeah, Smiley King posturing very aggressively. Casey here caught out, does not quite get the ultimate out in time to dodge the abilities, and is just going to go down like that. Another kill picked up. Mike giving a lot of love down towards the spot lane, and it's paying off for him.
Ice has matched this play now, but now it's a 2v2. Mike, we know Mike. He's going to be coming right on back to this bot lane here. Has no problems converting more resources into the bot area. But looks like Smiley King maybe baiting it, maybe just hanging out a little bit. Heist going to soak the wave. Dragon still 2.5 minutes and no Herald to be seen for a while. Dust has settled. 7 of this 8 kill participation onto Fnatic Mike, though. Once again, dominant performance in the early game.
Yeah, it is Mike and Smiley King making the plays happen across the map here. Not influencing top lane too much, mostly leaving those two to their own devices. But when it comes to mid lane and bot lane, these two have repeatedly forced out summoners and found the kills. Casey, Tony Poe, and Rona Gogo in these past few games have been doing just amazing jobs, but now they are collectively 1-6 as a result of this consistent map pressure from HSG, just really playing well here. PD Heist maybe looking to drop a Herald into the mid lane, funnel a bit more gold back in the Syndra, get her going again.
That's what this team needs. Phoenix down 1 game number 2 off the back of Rona Gogo's Akali being the playmaker, getting the kills, being so far ahead that was able to just roll through them here. It was that partnered with PD Heist. Heist was able to get something happening, but Gogo back under pressure.
Yeah, and this is a familiar picture. Smiley King going mid lane and getting the kill onto Rona Gogo. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time this happened, but the flash is not going to save him. PD Heist finding that max range teleport to Brazil there, getting a much needed shutdown on Smiley King for his many, many roams.
Yeah, Rona Gogo taking their 3rd death of the game. This is not how we saw Phoenix down win game number 2. And now Rona Gogo in trouble, saved the flash, and now Toby Larone commits his own to get a solo kill top side in return.
Yeah, Tim barely surviving out of the previous combo, but is investing that counter strike there and decides to go back in. Toby Larone isn't having any of that. Cataclysm going down into the mid lane. Tony Poe wanting to find the damage onto Blur, but Heist is just stuck there. There's no way for him to go in. A flash scatter the weak from Rona Gogo is not going to find the range required. Another free pickup for HSG in that bottom jungle.
And these pickups are coming one after another after another. Heist has done an okay job at keeping up in some of the farm department there, but the pressure exerted from Fnatic Mike is absolutely conquering not only the game and the lanes, but now also the jungle from Phoenix down. They're just running in there, taking what they want and saying, thanks for the leash.
Yeah, and last game, it was Tony Poe absolutely carrying team fights with decisive engages onto the key members. This game, it is Smiley King making all the visits to mid lane alongside Fnatic Mike, hitting these hooks, finding these picks, making sure that his team gets the tools for success. And now it is a 4,000 gold advantage at 14 minutes. Very sizable and
Hey,
potentially...
that 14-minute mark you just named, the Rift Herald got dropped after that. PD Heist, it was a heist when he picked up that Herald, and then didn't get it down in time, so no plates for all of that work.
Yeah, just never found the window there and is not even going to make a charge down into the bot lane
No.
tower. Objective bounties now coming up. Even the game telling Phoenix down that they are currently fairly behind the opponent.
Their name is telling them that they're down, though, Potato. So I think they're just living up to the name at this point. But yeah, 4,000 gold objective bounties as early as possible here. We got to see some gold influx coming, whether it's from the objectives, whether it's from Temtem. Someone's got to start making some moves here because we know HSG Amethyst with an advantage will rotate their members and look to start dominating this mid game.
They are. Tim looking to trade a little bit onto Toby Larone, but there is Mike once again all over the map. It feels like just always being where he needs to be to help his team.
And now 15 minutes in, the next objective that's going to be hitting the map is this Rift Herald in 15 seconds. Heist did not use it appropriately or properly at all. And now we'll have to see if either team wants to be the ones to start aggressing, but it's Temtem playing aggressively top.
It is Toby Larone with the explosive cast, but he's running in the wrong direction. There is no escape for you that way, buddy. Not enough time to lift the tower either. PD Heist is going to try and find it. The teleport invested, but he says, no, come up in here and get out. But Casey might get dove here, is investing the Gale Force and the ultimate to try and live. Flash, a massive amount of damage on the Smiley King, but a clutch heal from Blackout is going to save his support and make the dive successful. That's going to be the tower going down, first tower of the game.
Tower's going down, but Heist is on to the Rift Herald with the rest of all of Phoenix down. They're going to pick that one up. I'm not quite sure why Heist in that topside play used the Realm of Death. Seemed a little bit unnecessary there, but I guess those Gragas stats came in handy for slaying that Rift Herald just that much faster. So great response play from Blackout and Smiley King on the bot side. Great dive onto Casey, and Casey's looking a little bit like Blackout in this third game.
Yeah, Blackout and Smiley King doing to Casey what the Phoenix bot lane have been doing to Blackout all game, taking advantage of that 2v1. An admirable outplay attempt from Casey. They're using all of the available tools, but unfortunately just did not have enough damage or survivability to make that work.
And now with those tools down from Casey, they have a giant target over their heads. They don't have the ultimate, no flash, and no ghost. That means no mobility so far. Toby Larone, look at this damage. Speaking of no mobility, Rona Go-Go going down.
And that is another barrel snipe. Rona Gogo just going to get taken down there. Toby Larone easily able to escape with the flash body slam. Or is it Temtem showing the Jax power here? Is going to find the solo onto Toby Larone. That was an incredible amount of chasing power. I take my words back.
Yeah, I thought that flash might have even been unnecessary from Toby Larone, but even after committing it, Temtem strong enough to just blow through them now. Fnatic Mike looking for the engage.
Yeah, they're looking onto Heist, but Heist Uno reverse cards them and says, no, Mike, you're coming here with me. Temtem backing here, so is unable to help out Kaisa in the top lane. An excellent shockwave into Gore Drinkers, almost saving the fight there, but Casey does find the shutdown. Here's Rona Gogo, able to find the teleport back in just in time. Two amazing shutdowns to try and put Phoenix back into the game. Blackout is getting a lot of alone time and is going to take down the entirety of that tower, but now Temtem is there to match.
And now the Rift Herald being dropped down in the mid lane. Blur used flash for nothing in that fight. Fnatic Mike bought time, but not enough. The Rift Herald crashes, the mid tower is claimed, and Phoenix down is not going down without a fight in this third and final game.
They are not, but Dragon is in 30 seconds, and the reset timers from Phoenix are going to be a little bit awkward here. They won't have a chance to spend the gold that they just earned if they want it to apply to this fight. We already see the teleport coming in from Blur, so all of the members are going to be here in time, the exception potentially of Blackout, but the members of Phoenix are not going to be able to do the same.
No, they're not, and Casey sitting on 1,800 gold themselves. That is nearly close to an item now, and we see that Blackout coming into this fight with only 500 gold unspent, and look at the item difference. Casey does not have Gale Force, the Ghost in a Moment, no Flash, and now with so much unspent gold, this is such an ill-advisable fight if you're Phoenix down.
Yeah, I'm feeling very nervous about this.
What's Heist doing? He just started taking over the Rift Herald. Why are you taking that blast code, buddy?
Yeah, just wants to get into the thick of the action already. So it is going to be a 5v5, but look at Blur getting caught out into the mist of the enemy. But the shock wave and explosive cast combo is going to do a lot of damage. Not quite enough finishing power, though, but Blackout does find the damage on the player. There's Mike in the middle of everybody, but Temtem, look at Temtem here. It is going to be him that has to carry this fight here. Fnatic Mike going down there. Now Heist and Temtem. Temtem once again getting the triple kill onto Blackout. This Jax absolutely taking over here. Toby Larone forced to body slam out. Is the explosive cast going to take it? It does! They don't wait it out, so Temtem is going to take the kill onto Toby Larone, but on the other side, Heist and Poe, without Smite, just decide to fight the dragon anyway and leave the cast to get a free soul point. that was not as well executed as I would have hoped.
Someone's got to check Heist's PayPal. Like, I like I don't even know what to say. Heist used ultimate early on in the fight, took that blast cone over and just said, "All right, team, we're fighting now." Ulted somebody out of the fight and then smited them. Didn't even have the smite to finish it. They saw the cask inside of the pit from Toby Larone and still took down the dragon low enough for the barrel to claim it. I mean, Heist is a double agent. The only heist he's pulling this game is for that team to lose because it looks like Phoenix down with a soul point after a big comeback. I mean, it just feels like Temtem is doing all they can, a massive shutdown for them, but Heist is making this game as hard as possible for his team.
Oh, Lava's inner juggler is absolutely dying here after that play, and I have to agree, it was not the best we've seen. But still a very great team fight victory, at least for the side of Phoenix down. Temtem absolutely taking over that fight, left to his devices to hit everyone for free, getting a lot of great shutdowns, and now here he is with a 600 gold shutdown, keeping his team in the game. Now 2,500 gold up against his lane opponent is going to be an absolute menace in these side lanes, looking onto Toby Larone already.
Yeah, Toby Larone with the cask is going to push Temtem away. You're right. We are seeing the power of this kind of mini rework Temtem here. Even in 1v3, I'm not convinced they're going to get him, but the team's nowhere close. About to be a 1v4.
Yeah, and Kaisa can just ult in here, but here is a
Ooh.
teleport to try and survive, but Fnatic Mike just exploding here. The rest of the members of Phoenix now are going to start collapsing. A stun onto Blackout, who's going to get teleported into Brazil. Finally, Smiley King is going to find the finish here. Blackout desperately kiting against the Mordekaiser here, is not going to be able to survive to the ignite of Tony Po. On the upper side of the fight, Blur using Shockwave to disengage. Smiley King looking for an execute onto the bottom, not going to be able to find it, is going to die to Rona Go-Go, and now it is Heist looking onto Toby Larone, barely going to survive, but no, the Syndra ulti finishes it out. Another great fight for PD in the bot lane, again from the heroics of Temtem stalling for so long, and that's a mid lane tower going down for free. Casey, who didn't even need to join that fight.
Yeah, great job from Casey to recognize that they did not need to get there or weren't going to be able to. Temtem bought enough time for his team to join, and because of that, Phoenix down once again, getting a winning team fight in their advantage.
Yeah, last game it was Heist and Pose engages. In games 1 and 2, it was Casey's damage output.
Heist. Did they
Yeah,
PayPal you again, buddy? Why are you still here? The fight is over. There's no play. There's no team. Heist.
No, it doesn't
Heist.
look like it. Doesn't look like it. He's gonna go down again. Pyke with 2 big shutdowns in a row actually is going to start being a menace in these fights. Should he be allowed to get even more items? But Llama.
I mean, oh my gosh, like that fight is so over, and Heist for some reason thinks that they want to take the Gromp or take Mike or something. Now they're down a member, and it feels like Temtem forced to 1v9 in this third match. I don't know if it's nerves or what's getting to Heist here, or if his bank account got a little bit thicker, because all of a sudden it feels like this one player that had such an amazing performance in game 2 is unable to pull out what's needed in this third game from the jungle.
Yeah, meanwhile, Smiley King on the backside, but Casey is very safe here as Tony Po is also going to get out, so a failed engage 40 seconds before the dragon. It is the Cataclysm expended in exchange for the quickness, so 2 big teamfight ultis used here. There is going to be a reset timing coming out. Temtem, with the teleport available, is continuing to apply the pressure in the top lane. This one is for Dragon Soul. Very
gosh.
big. Yeah, look at that Jax damage. Kind of disgusting going out.
Temtem has to be in this fight, though. It is the sole for HSG Amethyst if they can claim it. Less than 9 seconds till it hits the map. Temtem resetting now. They have to get down here and quickly because there's the teleport. This is going to be the fight.
Yeah, that is the flank ward being pinged out here. Temtem looking for a way to join his team. Isn't going to be able to catch a carry right off the back, but Fnatic Mike is on
Do not
the
flip
other
this.
side of the pit. Kaisa is a little bit late here to the fight, but yeah, it looks like Fnatic might be
No,
able to
don't
just
50
queue
this.
over. They are trying and still hitting the dragon here. They don't spot Mike. He's taking the
He gets
blast
it.
bolt in. Okay, it is Heist getting the smite secure while Tim is fighting in the backline. 1v3 going against all of the carries of
Oh
HSG.
my
They're forced to
gosh.
flash away, and it is the Tim show here, beating down on Blur, forcing the flash from Smiley King, continuing to dive the tower there with Tony Poe, getting a finish onto Blackout as well, eating tower shots like there is no tomorrow. Heist ghosting after Toby Larone here, tried to find another one. Maybe a little too aggressive at the end here, but you imagine this must be the bot inner going down.
Yeah, great secure from Heist, and this man is showing up, refunds those payments. This guy's here to win.
Refunds them indeed. A bit of a risky smite there, but does secure it. It is an engage onto both carries who are probably going down here. It is Rona, Gogo, and Casey both falling to the
Ooh.
engages of HSG. They're chasing down onto Heist now, who's trying to win the 1v3, but just does not have the stats to do so. Smiley King getting close to death, but not going to fall.
And now with these teleports coming in, this might mean a push out for the Baron. It's going to be really interesting to see. Again, it feels like even after getting that Dragon in the team fight win, Temtem, when that star player is down, the fights become so hard for all of the rest of Phoenix down to be able to fight. But now 5 members alive in 20 seconds on Heist. This is going to be the sign for HSG Amethyst to start the Baron.
It will really come down to the timing here. It looks like Phoenix now isn't going to try to contest, but a lot of the members were spawning. Tim is up here. Tony Poe is just going to word it out, let the Baron go through. Tim going on to Smiley King, but Smiley King is mobile enough to escape there. No members traded back for the Baron there. A free pickup on Overstay on the bot lane.
Yeah, and it feels like, unfortunately, a little bit of a throw once again from Phoenix down. Temtem, I think, got a little bit too excited, and we were excited for him on the 1v9 potential. But ultimately, Tower was greater in that instance, and now 3 minutes on this Baron buff for all of HSG Amethyst. We'll have to see if they can break the base or at least some towers to claim more gold from this power play.
Yeah, it turns out about 10 tower shots into a damage Jax is going to be finally enough to shut down this massive threat. But here he is back to pushing the top lane while HSG have Baron. We'll see, can HSG use this Baron to crack these inner towers on the map?
And now the inner tower bot side is the one that's under pressure. Temtem is forced between a rock and a hard place. They want to use the power of the split push and absolutely dunking on Toby Larone in the top side to get their own pressure. But meanwhile, the team is going to be so hard to try to hold these Baron minions. Heist now using that ult early on a Smiley King though, but that is one slippery pike.
Yeah, but Blackout caught in the rotation here. Fnatic and Mike going to engage to try and save his ADC, but is
Temtem's
unable
here.
to do so. Smiley King on the bot side getting aggressed on by the rest of them. Tim now chasing out onto Blur. We have Toby Larone solo playing on the top side, eventually going to collapse towards the tower, but that's going to be a successful defense from just an early team fight there. The members of HSG a little bit scattered, trying to play on 3 lanes, gave time for Tim to run all the way bot, join that team fight, hold the tower on all the different lanes.
Yeah, and now with that safe defense, I mean, they still got a kill for it too. Blackout used to playing these immobile carries, but this time with the ultimate, ulted back into danger. Looking like a little bit of a maybe average solo queue ADC in that play there. And ultimately, because you don't have an ADC, you don't have a push. Smiley King fishing for more, but without a marksman, it's going to be challenging to make a play.
Yeah, Rona Gogo able to dodge that one out, but now the next play in sight is once again Dragon Soul. 1 minute left on this. Baron buff is starting to expire. Just about a fifth of it left. Unlikely to find the finish for a tower push here. Tim once again teleport available, pushing on this top lane. No one matching. Toby Larone has moved ball already. All members of these teams getting ready to set up for this dragon.
Yeah, we know how close it was last time. Fnatic Mike also almost secured the soul for his team, but it was Heist able to pick up the last auto attack and stop that. But now Phoenix down in a similar position. Temtem got the push, does have the teleport too. We'll have to see how Phoenix down approaches this. They got a position in the river though. Let's see if they can hold it.
Yeah, Kaisa is far though, and Toby Larone was sent to match, so this early positioning is going to be warded off by the 4 members of Phoenix Down pushing in through. There is not currently a very deep TP ward, but Toby Larone is going to join the fight as well. Temtem, both members coming in here.
Blackout's
Kaisa
not in
still in the
position
mid
yet.
lane, not yet in range to join. There's Temtem going in, going to take out
Oh
Blur
my
right away.
gosh.
The shockwave is not going to be enough. Even
Oh!
Smiley King is going to be taken down. Another great secure from Heist there is going to deny the soul once again with 2 kills down. This could be a push. Temtem now looking on to Mike and is going to instead back as the chase is over. Mike is going to find the flag and drag to safety here, but here's another 2-man advantage on the map for Phoenix Down trying to make another push happen.
And Blackout 28, nowhere to be found in that fight for his team, was trying to get the mid lane priority, but there was no one else there. There was no threat on towers. Felt like Blackout was in the wrong position. There was literally 0 damage that Kaisa did in that fight. I don't even think they were on my screen there. And it felt like that was one of your key players. That's a 3-item Kaisa. And they were nowhere to be found in this pivotal fight where if they got the dragon, HSG Amethyst would have the soul. But instead, 2 more members fall. The gold lead within 100 gold, Potato. This game 3 could not be any closer.
It really could not. At 30 minutes, that 100 gold is going to mean almost nothing. The Kaisa is picking up the QSS there as well to try and maintain a little bit survivability. But yeah, in a solo situation, gotta just be there at the objective. Next one, both teams are looking at Baron in a minute. There are 2 wards available, providing some deep vision into HSG's jungle as the members of Phoenix Down push through this mid lane wave, looking to find their approach. Temtem is right back at it, already level 18 now, an absolutely terrifying
Wow.
force on the map, pushing onto this top lane, both teams getting ready to posture.
Yeah, it would take like 3 members to take down Temtem, and I think they're as strong as 3 members too. We'll have to see how Temtem opts to play this fight, because if they get caught in the side lane, if HSG Amethyst can get enough members to collapse on Temtem, that's such a huge threat for Phoenix Down that would be dead. But Temtem just happy to force these waves out, is still waiting on a little bit more gold to be able to complete their full build. But with 4 items completed in a stopwatch and inventory, Temtem will shred through given the time.
Yeah, and the carries for HSG here just do not have any peel available for them, so Temtem is free to move forward and hit
It's
as he
only
pleases.
in
But Heist getting engaged on is going to use the
USS.
ultimate to buy time, but Blackout is going to QSS through, is going to live here. Now both teams clashing hard at this Baron. Temtem taking very, very low,
Not
but
dead.
is still going to survive. Fnatic might going to be taken down by Temtem. Their Smiley dying to the central ulti. Oriana now caught on the top side is going to fall to Casey, and surely that's going to spell disaster for HSG as the Baron is in their sights. Maybe they're going to push towards the base, but no, just going to take the safe approach here. No smite
No jungler
available
for, yeah.
for a steal. Yeah, so this one should be guaranteed.
No jungler for either team though, so Toby Larone still might have an angle. Heist not here. Toby Larone.
Not another barrel.
Oh,
Not
that
another
was
Oh
so
my
close
gosh.
though.
Phoenix now
Wow.
just they really trusted there. They really trusted there. I saw the Baron go down to 300 or so. Toby Larone just not going to take the detonation through, but
Yeah.
man, was that one frisky.
That one was close once again, and Temtem got so low but stayed alive. Heist once again ulting the worst possible choice, the only member on all of HSG Amethyst to have a QSS, and decides to ult Blackout 28. Immediately QSS it out. Heist fell, but Temtem puts the team in his backpack because that player carried that fight once again.
Yeah, and we just see the ability of Jax to absolutely thrive in this kind of environment where all of the carries are vulnerable. They don't have mobility. They don't have protective around elements around them to keep them
About to
alive.
not have
Jax is
heist.
just doing what he wants. Here's the TP. This might be the final fight here. Ronagogo and Heist are going to try and hit the rest of the members. Tim already immediately exploding onto Blur here. Smiley King is next onto his sights. Rakan's
That might
ulti is
be
going
it.
to get him. Mike in Brazil here. Casey getting engaged on the mid lane, but there's the teleport from Rona Gogo to help out. A
Oh, it
flash
stopped.
pull. Excellently done by Blackout. The TP is interrupted on the bot side, so shutdown is going to be had for Casey, but here are the rest of the four members pushing straight down to the base. Tim still alive. Toby, Larone, and Blackout will not be able to survive his onslaught, especially with the support of his members. That's the tower going down. That's the first inhibitor. How do they hold here? Where do they find the damage? Here are the Baron minions go in. Toby
Oh
Larone
my.
looking for his opportunity, but Blackout almost immediately getting 100 to 0. The first tower going down, the second tower being dove. Tim taking the tower aggro here is going to Zonius to reset. Toby Larone going down. The Nexus in their sights. Blackout once again stunned. Smiley King is unable to find the finish here. The Nexus goes down. Game and series go to Phoenix down.
Despite Heist's best efforts, Phoenix down won this series 2-1.
Yeah, off of an amazing carry performance by Tim. That one dragon fight gave him all the tools he needed to take over the rest of the game. The members of HSG just did not have the tools to deal with the explosive power of the Jax. Their 41,000 damage, as much and more than the top two players of HSG combined, really taking over that final game.
Yeah, I mean, Temtem don't need no team with that kind of performance. I mean, it is Tem time all the way through from start to finish. Felt like that Jax. I mean, we knew this was going to be a stronger Jax with some of those rework changes here, but it worked out there. As you said, without having any kind of support that had any sort of appeal, the only direction that HSG Amethyst had to go in that series was in. And because of that, Jax got strong enough that there's no peel. Like you said, like there's no way that you can save these members from HSG Amethyst there. And it just made those fights so incredibly challenging to play out once this Jax reached critical mass.
Yeah, anytime those champions were slightly spread apart, Jax was able to just hit freely. When these carries are dying in 4 or 5 autos, there is just no stopping this champion. That ended up being the difference maker in this final game.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the carries. Like, there was no player on HSG Amethyst squad that would last more than a few autos from Temtem. Like, oh my goodness, this last game put on a carry performance because just shredded through this kind of third game and ultimately secured the series for Phoenix down.
Yeah, absolutely. But a great competitive series nonetheless from two really well matched teams back and forth throughout all the games. A lot of exciting action. I'm hoping to see a rematch of this sometime.
I'd love to. After watching the old HSG Amethyst, formerly known as HSG Pink, take down Cosmic Paradox so easily in a 2-0 sweep, to see this game go the distance and then Phoenix down with an amazing games 2 and 3 to take this series for themselves. You're right, Potato. This is a series I would watch again and again between these teams.
Absolutely. Well played to both members, and thanks for the great entertainment you guys have provided tonight. It was a pleasure to cast.
Yeah, what a gift it was. And thank you to all of you for hanging out in the chat. 96% of viewers believed in Phoenix Down taking home this series, and they were correct. Ultimately, a huge series, and we are grateful to all of you for hanging out with us. Grateful to Style Esports to bring us this exciting action. And grateful to you, Potato. Another great series in the books.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Always a pleasure to cast with you as well. What a wonderful night it has been, and I'm looking forward to the next matchup.
Absolutely. Well, until then, we will have to wait and see what that matchup is. For Style Esports this evening, my name was Llama, and I brought you all the action this evening with All Out Potato. Thank you again to our teams HSG, Amethyst, and Phoenix Down for an amazing best of 3 series. And you'll have to stick around to see what the next matchup is next time on Style Esports. Have a great night.